Okay, good evening, everyone. Hello, am I audible? Please confirm. Yes. Okay, so let's start the session for today. Last class, we have completed the Spring Security. And in Spring Security, we can say that we have completed whatever the important parts are there, like authentication, authorization, token-based authentication, right? So in a Spring Security, only one topic is left, which is a little advanced concept. And if you want to learn, you can learn yourself as well. And if it is required in your revision batch, I will try to share some notes also, because for this construct week project is not required, and it is related to if you are using the microservices and some advanced security concept that is called OAuth 2. OAuth 2 basically it is a one type of concept जहाँ पे होता क्या है कि ये authentication authorization के लिए हम एक server use करते हैं, extra server. Just like that, Tomcat server will maintain our main application, and there is a one kind of authorization server like Keycloak, like Okta. There are some number of authorization servers are there, जहाँ पे हम authentication और authorization के logic को हम वहाँ पे maintain करते हैं. So we need not club our main business logic with our security logic. So the entire security logic will be there in our authorization server. जिससे कि हम सिंगल साइन ऑन वगैरह हम यूज कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हम गूगल से हम साइन इन कर सकते हैं. And it's a little very interesting concept, but little complex as well compared to the normal security. But anyhow, it is not required for you as initial stage. But when you are going to join any company, that time sometimes if you are working on a particular microservices, that time it is required. So don't worry, in your revision or placement batch, I will share some notes. I have some notes written, so I will share with those notes with you as well. But today, what we are going to discuss in today's session, that is, it is entirely different. That means till now, अब तक हम Spring Boot पे काम करते आए हैं, Spring पे काम करते आए हैं. But अब फिर से start करते हैं अपना Core Java. And Core Java में आप लोगों को यहाँ पे जो हम टॉपिक यूज करने वाले हैं, that is what basically it is a unit testing. So first, we are going to see the unit testing in Java, normal core Java. What is the testing and why this testing is required? Why the testing is very, very important in your company if you're joining as a developer. If you're a developer, you should be aware about the testing. You have to write the test cases. After the today's session, you will be able to understand कि इसका कितना importance हमारे project में. और जब भी आप development field में रहोगे तो आपको testing phase से गुजरना ही पड़ेगा. You need to write the unit test code as well. Okay. Before talking about this unit testing, let me just tell you about that today will be the last session of our this sprint, and one topic is left. The topic name is what? Unit testing in Spring Boot. Yes, Ritik, we are going to discuss about that with only unit testing, JUnit only. So only one topic is left is unit testing in Spring Boot, plus it is only one day topic, and that is what a REST template, how to use REST template. That is your HTTP client. This is their only one day topic. Since we have just executed, हमारा time खत्म हो चुका है, that means it is already beyond our curriculum time, and this is one extra session I took that one to give you the idea about this unit testing. And this unit testing in Spring Boot, एक बार आप इसमें comfortable हो जाओगे तो ये आपके लिए काफी simple होगा कि हम अपने API को कैसे हम टेस्ट करेंगे, that thing, and how to call our API through the other Java program. क्योंकि अब तक जो हम API कॉल करते आए हैं, जो भी हम स्प्रिंग बूट में अपने API लिख रहे थे, so that API you have used, you called through what? Through the Postman, through the Swagger, or some people might have used the JavaScript fetch API, उससे हम यूज करके आए हैं. लेकिन इस API को हम जावा एप्लीकेशन से भी कॉल कर सकते हैं, मतलब किसी नॉर्मल जावा एप्लीकेशन से, किसी दूसरे स्प्रिंग बूट प्रोजेक्ट से भी हम कॉल कर सकते हैं. We can do that. This API we have in Java, we have some library, and there is one class called REST template. इससे हम क्या कर सकते हैं? अपने get method, post method, all those methods we are able to call that. So this is the HTTP client. It is also very, very important. And if you want to learn the microservices and calling the application to application, एक Java application दूसरे REST API को call करे. तो अब तक जो API आप कॉल कर रहे थे वो पोस्टमैन से, स्वैगर से कॉल कर रहे थे, हम आउटपुट देख रहे थे, हेडर क्या आ रहा है और वैल्यू क्या आ रही थी बॉडी पे, बट उसको हम यूज नहीं कर पा रहे थे. आपने यूज किया था फ्रंट एंड में, फेच एपीआई के थ्रू हमने कॉल किया है फ्रंट एंड के एप्लीकेशन में, और वहां पे हम डेटा को डॉम में वहां पे हम इम्बेड कर दिए थे हमने. But the thing is that in real time, there might be a scenario that your Java application you are developing and you are trying to call, instead of developing your all the feature, आप क्या करोगे, किसी दूसरे API को कॉल कर लोगे. वो API आपको डेटा देगा, उस डेटा को अपने एप्लीकेशन में आप क्या करोगे, प्रोसेस करोगे, उसे मॉडिफाई करोगे, और जैसा चाहो आप उस डेटा के साथ आप कर सकते हो. चाहो तो आप उसका खुद से भी अपना API जनरेट कर दो. For example, you might have seen that, let's say that you want to connect with your Google Map or some any other API you want to consume. Let's say that हमें Google Map से weather forecast में use करना है, या फिर हमें किसी बने बनाए या फिर किसी बैंक के API से या फिर किसी और भी API को use करना है अपने application में, right? So in that case, those application they release their API as well. और उन API को आप कॉल करके अपने स्प्रिंग बूट एप्लीकेशन में उनके डेटा को ले सकते हो, उनके डेटा को फर्दर प्रोसेस कर सकते हो, और फिर आप अपना एपीआई फिर से जनरेट कर सकते हो. सो this is the class REST template, using that you can do there. So we will talk about this one. So what I am planning here related to this topic video, since we don't have the time to take the session for this topic, so this is the last session for this unit. So this इससे related जो session होगा, it will not come in your revision batch, sorry, in your coming evaluation, but you have to utilize in your construct week project. So in your construct week, I will release one video, recorded video, along with the notes. So you will go through that video. It will be mandatory, and you'll feel very much comfortable on REST template, इसका use क्या है, और यूनिट टेस्टिंग स्प्रिंग बूट में हम कैसे यूज करेंगे, क्योंकि नॉर्मल स्प्रिंग यूनिट टेस्टिंग कोर जावा में हम कैसे यूज करते हैं, that we are going to discuss in today's session. One more thing, अब जब आपका कंस्ट्रक्ट वीक में प्रोजेक्ट होगा, I'm talking about the project in construct week. So construct week project, whatever the title you are going to get, be sure that this project will be very, very important for your placement. Because once you are going for a placement to any company, so those companies, they will ask you to show me your project. And in that project, whatever the project you are getting, try to implement all those things, whatever you have learned since J111, SV101 and SV201. मतलब कोर जावा से लेके कलेक्शन से लेके लैम्डा एक्सप्रेशन स्ट्रीम एपीआई ज्यादा से ज्यादा, या फिर आपके वो जेडीबीसी का नॉलेज हो, या फिर हाइब्रिड का नॉलेज हो, स्प्रिंग डेटा जेपीए का हो, और लूज कपलिंग, टाइट कपलिंग, और exception handling. Then after you can talk about your all those whatever the concept you have learned. Try to implement all those concepts. आपको खुद से एनालाइज करना है कि इस फीचर में हम और क्या क्या चीजें हम इनेबल कर सकते हैं, यूज कर सकते हैं. Logging you need to write, you need to implement your security feature, JWT feature, authorization feature, right? In fact, you have to write that unit testing as well. So whatever you have learned, since it is a group project, you will divide your task among yourself, and then you will try to implement all the possible things, whatever you have learned till now. Not only this, even you have to follow some object-oriented principle as well while designing your project. मतलब object-oriented principle के कुछ design patterns होते हैं, कुछ rules होते हैं. For that, the factory method, the method application should have the proper modularity. Proper modularity का मतलब क्या होगा कि just give me one second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So basically, the thing is that let's say that you are talking about modularity. So modularity का मतलब होता है कि जैसे कल के example में हमने देखा था एक दो methods. Let me show that one so that you can understand this modularity part as well. So let's see that our JWT example. For the example here, I'm just going to show this particular class, that is JWT validator filter or generator filter, whatever. So here you will see that what I did, not in this class. Here it is. Now, if you notice here, there is a one method I have written, that is here, populate authority. And what I did here, this authorities dot get authorities, I just call this method, right? So, and here I have written this method populate authority. So आप चाहो तो ये लॉजिक डायरेक्टली अपने अथॉरिटी को निकाल के और उसको स्ट्रिंग से कंकैट करना, दैट मींस कॉमा से कंकैटिनेट उसे अटैच करना सारे अथॉरिटी को लिस्ट से निकाल के आप वो लॉजिक आप यहाँ पे भी लिख सकते थे. But the thing is that you have written one separate method. So mean to say that whatever the application you are writing, think like that, how much modular approach we can follow. That means writing all the logic in a single class. It is not at all acceptable. You need to follow the modularity so that what your code will look very simple, very much maintainable. So those things, object-oriented principle you can take. I'm giving you a simple example. Let's say that if you're using, I hope everyone is aware with the ChatGPT. So once your application is done, try to take a particular class, paste that in a ChatGPT and check out that, just ask from the ChatGPT how we can modularize this application. What are the other improvement we can do? And just read the prompts, read the output properly and check out that you don't blindly believe on that particular ChatGPT or any artificial intelligence. You have to apply your intelligence as well. And then check out that कि ये चीजें हम further किस तरह से enhance कर सकते हैं. और enhance भी करेंगे तो उसके पीछे logic क्या होगा कि ये बाद में extendable होगा या फिर और भी कुछ चीजें हो सकती है. Try to use much more interfaces, abstract classes, abstract method, whatever the concept you have learned. Even in fact, whenever you are doing any collection related processing, collection से कुछ data को short करना, collection से कुछ data को map से निकालना. So in those things, what you can do, you can utilize your as much as possible your stream API, Lambda expression, functional programming, functional way. So your interviewer will be impressed. आपके project देख के पता चल जाएगा कि now this person has good awareness about this method reference, Lambda expression, functional programming. He has as much as he has used that stream API. Right? Let's say that you are writing any method or API which will get the data from the database. Try to write that your JPQL, apply your JPQL knowledge, optimize your ORM approach, utilize your pagination, sorting example. So it's up to you कि अपने सारे skill को आप ये construct week वाले project में आप लोग लगा देना. Because think like that as a professional way, not like that. First, develop your application, check out that if your output is coming, that's fine. Then next level, you'll have to enhance your application. You have to optimize your application to the next level. And it's up to you. I'm just interested if you are a super developer and if you want to be, then you have to just try to debug and try to check out your code. कि किस level से हम इसे और ज़्यादा optimize कर सकते हैं. Because getting the output is not a big thing. Everybody can take the code from any take the reference from your friend or from any person and they can copy paste, they can use that. But you have spent so much time to learn some concept, and this is the time to implement all those concepts in your future project. Cool. So now let's talk about this unit testing that is in the core Java. We are not going to use in this session Spring Boot, normal core Java things, maybe an application, normal Java application we are going to use. Somebody is asking in the chat box like we are using the Eureka Netflix server. No, here Eureka server is a part of your microservices. When we want to create different services and register with the one extra server, that is Eureka server. So here is a part of microservices. So you are not going to use that Eureka server. Okay, Amita is asking, sir, in the coming evaluation, unit testing will come. Hopefully unit testing will come, लेकिन वही चीजें आएंगी जो आपको पढ़ाई जा चुकी है. That means it will not come from Spring Boot unit testing. REST template, those things will not come. Okay. Okay. So let's move on and talk about this unit testing. तो सबसे पहले unit testing के पहले बात करते हैं testing के बारे में. Testing का मतलब क्या होता है? Normal term, not a technical term. कोई बताओ क्या होता है testing का मतलब? Write down in the chat box. Testing. To checking error, modularity, testing the logic. ठीक, हम बात कर रहे हैं not in a technical term, non-technical term. क्या होता है testing का मतलब? जैसे suppose that कि आप खाना बना रहे हो, right? तो क्या करते हो? आप टेस्ट करते हो ना पहले कि खाने में कैसा नमक कैसा है, इसका टेस्ट कैसा है, right? So that is what testing. Basically, testing का actual बहुत सारे definition हो सकते हैं, but the main thing is that comparing the actual value or you can say your result with expected value, right? Expected value, expected result. कि हम जैसा सोच रहे थे वैसा हुआ है, right? हमारे एक्सपेक्टेशन पे ये वैल्यू जो रिजल्ट आ रही है वो काम कर रही है. That is called the proper definition of testing, right? Please confirm. Cool. अब ये यूनिट टेस्टिंग क्या होता है? यूनिट टेस्टिंग बेसिकली मीनिंग इज व्हाट? So whatever the task is given to a programmer, जो भी टास्क आपको प्रोग्रामर को मिलता है, बेसिकली आप प्रोग्रामर तो टास्क आपको कोई साफ सफाई वाली नहीं मिलेगी, टास्क आपको कोडिंग करने की मिलेगी. So whatever task you are getting, that task is basically called as one unit of work, right? The task given to each programmer is called as one unit of work. Basically, when you are going to join a company, you are not going to get the to develop an entire project. No, it will not like that. Project already developed है. आपको कोई छोटे मोटे टास्क मिलेंगे कि किसी मेथड में आपको नई फंक्शनैलिटी डेवलप करना या फिर किसी मेथड में नए फीचर को ऐड करना. Some line of code you need to write in a particular function, particular class, particular method you need to define there. Or you need to just some errors are there, you need to find the bug, what's the problem is there, why this functionality is not working, you need to write some patch code on that particular task. That is called one unit of work, it is assigned to you, right? And the testing performed on this unit of work, जो आपको task मिला है, right, by the programmer is called unit testing. Make sense? Please confirm. The testing performed on this unit of work related code by programmer is called unit testing. Or programmer testing is, some people used to say that programmer testing or unit testing. Okay, ये unit testing बहुत ज़्यादा हमारे लिए helpful है. क्यों? Think logically. Suppose that some person has given a task to you, so write a particular, let's say that आपने एक project बनाया है. So you have created a particular project, and in that application, you have written so many classes. So many classes you have written. Let's say that I have written 10 classes or 20 classes I have written. And in each classes, I have 10 to 20 functionalities are there. Each classes, 20 methods are there. Methods in each classes. Now, if you are going to your project manager or team leader and you are showing that, hey, I have developed application, this is my, these are the classes, how many classes I have written, how many methods I have written. आपको क्या लगता है वो आपके जो मैनेजर होंगे या टीम लीड होंगे वो क्या करेंगे? सारे कोड खोल के चेक करेंगे, उसी एक मेथड को रन करके देखेंगे कि आपका मेथड काम कर रहा है? कुछ ऐसा करने वाले हैं? No. So they will not do that. What they will do, how they will know that कि आपके सारे मेथड फंक्शनैलिटी सही काम कर रहे हैं? They are not going to run the particular all the functionality and check whether you this functionality काम कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है. To run this one, check out that this method is working properly or not. They will not do that. They will simply run your test cases, and test cases will generate the report. In that report, they will identify कि आपके code कितने आपके covered है, how much code quality and code coverage is there. आपके सारे test cases pass हो चुके हैं. That means your all functionalities are working. If some test cases are not working properly, that means this code is not working. So initially, whenever you develop a particular project or application, your unit team lead will going to run your test cases to check whether your all functionalities are working or not. Right? Now, what is there? Some tools are there in our application like SonarLint and some other SonarGate, some other quality control tools are there. In that, what will be there once you develop in real-time application? I'm talking about that. Once you are developing application, and now once आपका application complete हो चुका है, and now you try to put that on a GitHub. Let's say that you are pushing your application on a GitHub, or from the GitHub, this application will be taken directly. There are some CI/CD pipelines are there. Once you develop the application, save the application, then automatically this application will be built. Test case will be run. and then this application will be pushed to the GitHub, and from the GitHub it will be automatically deployed to your server. ये सारे pipeline बनाता है. Some of the tools are there in the industry like Jenkins, some other tools that is called CI/CD pipelines. So you need to configure those tools in your application, in your pom.xml. Automatically they will take care. जैसे ही अपने application को आपने save किया, commit किया, वो अपने आप ये application के सारे सेव करते ही आपका application build हो जाएगा, उसके test cases run हो जाएंगे, jar file बन जाएगी, the application will be deployed on the GitHub, and from the GitHub it will be deployed to the your main server, your production server. Now there are some tools are there like SonarQube and some other tools, SonarLint. SonarQube basically they will check automatically while saving and uploading your application to the GitHub or pushing the application to the GitHub कि आपके कोड कवरेज कितने हैं. कोड कवरेज का मतलब है आपने टेस्ट केसेस कितना लिखा है और टेस्ट केस कितने कोड को कवर कर रहा है पूरे एप्लीकेशन में. कोड कवरेज के बारे में थोड़ा डिटेल हम और बाद में बात करेंगे. सो हाउ मच कोड कवरेज यू हैव इट इज डन, and there are some threshold is there. So if your code coverage is more than 70%, then only your application will be pushed to the GitHub. Otherwise, you'll get a notification, hey, your code coverage is below 70%. This threshold will be set by your team leader. इतना threshold अगर पास नहीं किया, हमारा कोड कवर नहीं हुआ टेस्ट केसेस के अंदर, तो हमारा एप्लीकेशन पुश होगा ही नहीं सर्वर पे. Developer has to complete that. It is a normal scenario I'm talking about in development. Okay, so I hope that you got the clarity ki how much important that this unit testing, right? Please confirm. Cool. Let's come with our notes, so that in that notes I have written some points which is very, very important. So this is a testing comparing the actual value with the expected value. Unit testing, the task given to each programmer is called unit of work, and testing performed on the unit of work related code by the programmer is called unit testing. Programmer are generally responsible to perform unit testing. अब हर एक कंपनी में अंदर ना जैसे डेवलपर होते हैं, डेटाबेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होता है, डेवऑप्स की टीम होती है, उसी तरह टेस्टर का भी एक अलग रोल होता है. टेस्टर्स आर नॉट डेवलपर, दोस टेस्टर आर डिफरेंट पीपल. उनका काम क्या होता है, वो भी टेस्टिंग ही करते हैं, बट दे आर नॉट डूइंग यूनिट टेस्टिंग. They have the other part like integration testing, system testing, end-to-end testing. They have the different testings are there. Selenium tools are there. Some other tools are there by using which they will integrate the entire project and they will test with the various that means permutation and combination. They will test your application. कि आपका application 100% working है, bug free है, and everything is working fine. So that person is called testers. Tester have a different type of jobs are there. So in real time lots of people they hate this type of job because वहाँ पे आप develop कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो, आप बस test cases लिख रहे हो और आप उसे run कर रहे हो. You are not going to learn some new functionality, but still some companies, not some company, most of the company, they have the specific role called testers. But as far as the unit testing is concerned, it is the job of your developer, that means developer. So it is a job of you, or you can say your developer, the unit testing. But system testing, integration testing, some other type of testing, black box testing, and some different type of testings are there. Those are the part of testers. टेस्टर का उनका ये काम है. जैसे डेटाबेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर का काम है डेटाबेस डिजाइन करना, स्कीमा डिजाइन करना, नॉर्मलाइज करना. बट एज अ डेवलपर आपका काम क्या है, परफॉर्मिंग CRUD ऑपरेशन. एज अ डेवलपर यू आर ओनली रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू परफॉर्म व्हाट CRUD ऑपरेशन विद द डेटाबेस. In real time, you are not allowed to design a schema, database design, normalization, all those things, indexing, those things you are not responsible for that. इसके लिए DBA people is there, right? But you should have the awareness about that, how to, what is that ER diagram. Based on that, you are only allowed to perform the CRUD operation using data JPA, using JDBC, whatever. So unit testing is a part of programmer or developer. Now, when we test a particular program, सबसे बड़ी फायदा क्या होता है testing लिखने से? Whenever we test a particular program, we improve the quality and reliability of the program. कि हमारे सारे test cases pass, मतलब हमारी कोड की क्वालिटी अच्छी है, कोई बग नहीं है हमारे एप्लीकेशन के. And you can simply rely on our program. Reliability is also there. Unit test is generally a small method that we write to test some part of our code. Unit test होता क्या है कि ये भी एक कोड ही है जो दूसरे कोड को टेस्ट करता है. You need to write a separate code to test another code, your main business code, right? So for example, you have a main business logic is there. I have a particular class called calculator, और उसके अंदर एक simple सा method है divide method, which will take two parameter number 1 and number 2, and it will return the result of number 1 divided by number 2, and it will return the result. Imagine this is the normal our business logic. So this is the code only, right? Now to make sure that the above method works expected, we need to write one more unit test case for to test the above single method. हमें कुछ और कोड लिखने पड़ेंगे इसे चेक करने के लिए कि ये मेथड हमारा एक्सपेक्टेड काम कर रहा है. मतलब एक्सपेक्टेड काम करने का मतलब कि हम अगर दो वैल्यू देते हैं यहाँ पे 10 and 5, so I'm getting the proper output or not, right? Not only this, we need to define the test cases in, that means very many all the possible way. For example, I am dividing this number 1 with number 2, I am putting that 0, then what should be the output? It should show the arithmetic exception. If both values are negative, then which type of result I am getting, right? So all the edge cases, yes, Zad, you are correct. We need to write the test cases with all possible edge cases. The test cases, and then only we can say that this code coverage is properly 100% code coverage. हमने इसके सारे possible तरीके से code को हमने cover कर लिया है, and our all test cases are passed. So each unit test is a small Java method we write or we create to test the above method works expected or not. So जो भी हम method लिखेंगे तो unit test लिखेंगे, वो हम इस method को check करने के लिए कि expected काम कर रहा है नहीं for all the edge cases. The unit test method should not contain any business logic. It should be short and very simple, unlike the application code method, which contains the main business logic. Unit test का जो हमारा logic होगा, it should not be very much complex logic. Just like our main business, आपके business logic complex हो सकते हैं, इसके अंदर बहुत सारी complexities, data को short करना, search करना, connecting with the database, all those logic could be there. लेकिन जब आप test code लिखोगे इसका, that code should not contain any business logic or any complex logic. Just it will assert the value. हमारा expected क्या है और इसका real actual value क्या है. We need to assert that in with the all edge cases. Right, so it should be short and simple. It should not contain, our test code should not contain any extra business logic. One unit test method should test only one method at a time. It should not test multiple method of our class. अब हम एक टेस्ट मेथड लिखेंगे, उसके अंदर ऐसा नहीं कि तीन चार मेथड को हम एक ही मेथड के अंदर हमने टेस्ट कर लिया. No, it should not be like that. So for each method we should have each test cases. हर टेस्ट मेथड का मतलब हर मेथड बिजनेस लॉजिक के लिए अलग अलग टेस्ट केसेस, और एक मेथड के कई सारे टेस्ट केसेस हो सकते हैं, right? जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इस डिवाइड मेथड, सो वी कैन डिफाइन 4 or 5 टेस्ट केसेस, 4 or 5 टेस्ट केसेस टेस्ट मेथड वी कैन डिफाइन. लेकिन एक टेस्ट केस के अंदर हम 4-5 मेथड को टेस्ट करें, इट इज नॉट अ गुड प्रैक्टिस एंड वी शुड नॉट डू दैट. To test the application code, we usually write more than one unit test with valid, invalid parameter to test our method work as expected. As I told that with a valid parameter, with invalid parameter. For example, I'm giving 0, 0 here. Then what should be the output? I'm giving here 100 or any number. Then what should be the output? I'm giving negative number. Then what should be the output? Whether in all the edge cases this is working properly or not. Right? Now we should test a particular method with different permutation and combination, not by using quantity but using different variety. मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि इसके हम 4-5 टेस्ट केसेस एक ही नंबर को, एक में हमने टेस्ट केसेस लिखा 10 and number 2 5, एक में दे दिया 100 here 2. It's not like that कि similar type of value I'm passing and I have written 5 or 6 test cases. So quantity should not matter. You should write what permutation combination, the variety. That means positive, negative, negative, positive. This could be the variety. Here some integer, here is the 0 value. Here there is a negative value or any other kind of value. So different permutation combination you need to pass. For example, there is to check that this test, iska test case hum kaise likhenge. So more the edge cases, more will be the test method for a single test case. Yes, Prithvi, you are absolutely correct. So जितने भी edge cases होंगे आप उसके हिसाब से, ऐसा नहीं कि 20-25 हम edge cases सोच के लिखें, 4-5 लिख सकते हैं. We generally do that 1 or 2 edge cases. If block or else block दोनों पार्ट हमारा कवर हो जाना चाहिए, right? For example, let's say that I have a particular method and method is checking some, it is having if block is there. Let's say that if number is greater than 20, then it should return let's say that I'm writing defining a method. So void or int get number, and it is taking two parameter, or get, let's say that get result and int marks, which is taking one parameter. And in this method, I'm saying that if marks is greater than 500, then it should return positive result. Let me just return type as a string. Else return second result. Now what is the code coverage basically? अगर आप इसका टेस्ट केस लिखोगे और टेस्ट केस में आप चेक कर रहे हो सिर्फ एक वाला पार्ट, then your code will be covered only 50%. क्योंकि आप जो वैल्यू से चेक कर रहे हो कि अगर हम यहाँ पे 600 पास करते तो should return first division. Then your code coverage, or you can say that your code coverage is only 50% because you have just tested the first part. Second part it is not tested. What if I am giving that less than 500? So is it returning second division or not? Am I clear? What is the meaning of code coverage for a particular method? Now, अब ये जो हमारा method है divide, इसका हम test case कैसे लिखेंगे? Let's see that one simple example, then we will do that practically. So पहले तो जिस class जो हमारा होता है, we are going to talk about the naming convention in detail. So our calculator class is there. So our test class should name as a calculator test. It should be postfix with the test word. मतलब ये पता चल जाएगा ये calculator class का test case. And the method in which we are going to write our test cases or test code, it should be annotated with @test method. मतलब ये test method है और ये हमारा testing unit test का logic. Okay. Now there are some convention are also there to writing this method. You can see that this method name is little weird and it's a very big name. But the convention is like that only. We need to use this type of convention. और ये method का नाम बता देगा कि ये क्या होने वाला है. Like test divide method. So method का नाम क्या है यहाँ पे? Divide. So it should be prefixed with the test and then your method name divide underscore when valid value provided underscore should return expected result. This should be the method name. So method name should be self-explanatory and it will have three sections. We are going to discuss about this method naming convention, this class naming convention, and this arrange, act, assert section. So it will have to define that three section basically. Arrange, जहाँ पे आप test case conduct करने के लिए आप code को arrange करोगे. So here I need to create the object of my calculator class. If you need to allocate some resources, so that part also comes under the arrange section. Then after you call the actual method, which is it comes under the act section. कि आप क्या act कर रहे हो? तो हमने इस पे divide method call किया by passing two values 4 and 2, which is giving the result. So this will come under the act section जहाँ पे आप actual method को call करने वाले. And then after that you are getting the result. The last section will be the assert section. This assert section is called testing your method, comparing the actual value with the expected value. So I'm saying that assert equal. Don't worry, we'll talk about that. ये method कहाँ से आया है और ये हम कैसे लिखेंगे. We will see that. But see that the structure of this test cases. So assert equal is the method. It will check out that कि हमारा expected output है 2 and ये हमारा रहा result. क्या ये 2 आ रहा है? और अगर नहीं आया तो this message should be given on your exception test cases report. Test case report पे ये message हमारा चला जाएगा and your test cases will or test case will fail if it is not satisfying this one. So अगर result हमारा 2 अगर होता है then test case will pass. This message you are not able to see. But if this value is not coming as 2, something else, some other value is coming, then what will happen? This message will be given on your test report and your test case will fail. We'll talk about this arrange, act, and assert section in details. But this is the simple structure of the above test class method. Am I clear? Please confirm. Cool. So as I told that our particular project, we can have multiple classes and those classes can have multiple methods. So class here, class here, class here. So many classes could be there. And in classes, 10 divided by 2, so give 5, so it will give false. But यहाँ पे हम value दे रहे हैं 4, 2, 4, 2, that means 2 only, ना? So this should be pass. You will see that. अगर ये fail हो जाएगा तो आपका वहाँ पे हमारे report में आ जाएगा कि fail हो चुका है test के साथ. Okay, it's not true and false. It will giving the value 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2, what is the value? So 4 divided by 2, what will be the value? 2. So I'm saying that, hey, this value should be 2. ये हमारा expected है. And this is your what actual. अगर ये दोनों बराबर हैं, because I am just using assert equal. Make sense? Okay. Now here in your particular project, multiple classes, I told you, और हर classes में method होंगे, और एक मेथड की एक से कई ज्यादा टेस्ट केसेस हो सकते हैं. जैसे आप मेथड ये पहला मेथड देखो 3 टेस्ट केसेस हमने लिखे हैं, यूनिट टेस्ट, यूनिट टेस्ट, यूनिट टेस्ट. इस मेथड के भी 3 टेस्ट केसेस, इस मेथड के भी 3 टेस्ट, 3, 4, 2, 5 कितने भी टेस्ट केस लिख सकते हैं. जब ये टेस्ट केस फेल होंगे, दैट विल बी द रेड सिंबल, यू आर गोइंग टू गेट अ रेड बार, एंड टेस्ट केस विल पास, देन यू आर गोइंग टू गेट अ ग्रीन बार. You will see that those red bar and green bar as well. Green color indicate that the test case method passed, and the red color indicates that test case fails. The unit test methods are very small and they run very fast because we always write unit test in isolation. So our main business logic is dependent upon any other resources or any other object. Then we pass a mock or fake object with hard-coded behavior, and we can perform the unit testing on our main business logic. ये काफी important statement है. मतलब unit test जो होना चाहिए वो काफी simple, काफी small होना चाहिए, and it should run in isolation. Isolation का मतलब it should not depend upon any external resources, any external dependencies. मतलब अगर आप सर्विस लेयर के मेथड को टेस्ट कर रहे हो, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट लेयर आर्किटेक्चर, और सर्विस लेयर के क्लास रिपोजिटरी पे डिपेंडेंट है, or let's say that your code is dependent on the database. So your code should not test that that means our unit test should test only the service layer method. It should not test your repository or your database related code. So in that case, what we will do that if our code is having any dependency, in that case we just use the mock object. अपनी डिपेंडेंसी को मॉक कर देते हैं. मॉक कर देते हैं मतलब उसकी रियल ऑब्जेक्ट पास करने की बजाय हम एक डमी ऑब्जेक्ट पास कर देते हैं विथ अ डमी बिहेवियर, और हम अपने मेन बिजनेस लॉजिक को टेस्ट करते हैं. क्योंकि हम मेन सपोज दैट अगर हम ये आइसोलेशन में टेस्ट ना करें, हम सर्विस लेयर को टेस्ट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है, हमारे रिपोजिटरी लेयर पे. सो इट विल बी डिपेंडेंट एंड इट विल नॉट बी अ वैलिड टेस्ट केसेस. Sometimes it is required to integrate all those things. It is called integration test. But in real unit test should be done in isolation with all its dependent object. कोई dependency है उसकी अगर, तो हम उसे mock कर देते हैं with a fake object. How to do that one? Today we have a session itself. We are going to discuss that in Mockito part. Mockito, how to create a fake object or mock object, and how we can assign the hard-coded or dummy behavior to that mock object. Right? So अभी के लिए आप ये समझो कि जो हमारे unit test cases हम जो लिखेंगे, they should be very small. That's why they should run very fast. Or if they have any dependency, we just perform our unit testing in isolation. We don't bother about the dependency. Dependency को हम mock object लगा देंगे जिससे कि हम dependency वाली चीजें हम टेस्ट ना करें, हम बस अपने logic को टेस्ट करें. Am I clear? Please confirm. Okay. Now, whatever we discussed that just here, why we do the unit test. So why we write the test method and why we write the other code to test another code is working or not. So to make sure that our code works as expected, हमारे code as expected काम कर रहे हैं, there is no any problem. Code work with the valid and invalid parameter values also. Valid parameter भी पास करें तब भी expected value है हमारा, invalid से भी हम टेस्ट कर चुके हैं कि हमें अगर हम कुछ गलत वैल्यू दे तो किस तरह का आउटपुट आना चाहिए. अगर हम डिनोमिनेटर 0 देते हैं तो इट शुड थ्रो द एक्सेप्शन. ये भी हम टेस्ट कर चुके हैं, हमारा मेथड वैसे ही काम करना है. कोड वर्क नाउ एंड इन द फ्यूचर आल्सो, क्योंकि अगर कल को कुछ आप चेंजेस करोगे, सो न्यू कोड चेंज इन द एग्जिस्टिंग एप्लीकेशन feature do not break the other code. So both things are related to each other. Basically, suppose that you have written a particular code and this code you have written a unit test case. Now your test case you are running and your test cases are passed. Now tomorrow some other developer came and they have written some other functionalities. So whether your other functionality has modified your code and now आपको सस्पिशियस होगा कि ये कोड पहले की तरह काम कर रहा है नहीं, तो कैसे आप वेरीफाई करोगे कि ये कोड हमारा पहले अभी जो भी एनहांसमेंट हुआ है लेकिन हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन वही चीजें मिल रही है, कोड हमारा शॉर्ट हो चुका है, कोड ऑप्टिमाइज हो चुका है, लेकिन जो रियल वैल्यू आ रही है वो अभी भी काम कर रही है. Not by just going through the code. You just run your test case. Check out that your test case is still running. It is passed. That means whatever code he has written, that code is acceptable. Right? And whatever the code you are writing, if it is used by some other application, other code, they should also not going to be break. That code is still working properly. क्योंकि हमने अपने कोड को लिख दिया, आज एक्सपेक्टेड कुछ और आ रहा है, कल एक्सपेक्टेड कुछ और आने लगे, तो क्या होगा, उस कोड पे कोई दूसरा कोड अगर डिपेंडेंट है, उस कोड को कोई यूज कर रहा है, तो उसका कोड भी ब्रेक हो जाएगा. So if our unit test case is run properly and it is passed, that means we can make sure that कि दूसरे कोड भी जो हमारे इस कोड पे डिपेंडेंट है, वो कोड भी अभी सही सही काम करेंगे, क्योंकि हमारा टेस्ट केस सारे पास हो गए. And as I told you that कि your team leader will not going to open your entire code and see that all the test cases. Now to write the test cases, there is a one first principle is there. First, FIRST. You should follow this principle as much as possible. It is not hard and fast principle you have to follow, but as much as possible you should follow. क्या है ये first principle? Let's see that. F means fast. Unit test run fast. क्यों? अभी हम बात किए थे क्या कि you should not communicate with the network and database operation. Right? Our test case should be, or test cases should run in isolation. That's why our test case will run always fast. Right? Next, independent. It should be, if you have proper dependencies are there, then dependency को हम mock कर देंगे और वो object को अपने main अपने business logic को हम test करेंगे. So our test cases should be independent. Repeatable. That means it should be repeatable, and if you run the same test case multiple times, it should produce the same result. Even if we run the test cases in different platform, also we should get the same result. That is what कि test case ऐसा नहीं कि हम अभी रन कर रहे हैं तो कुछ और आ रहा है, बाद में कुछ रन कर रहे हैं दूसरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे तो कुछ और ही आउटपुट आ रहा है. It should not like that. Next, self-validating. That means if you passed, we know that a test is passed or failed, developer should not perform any additional manual check after to complete. ये टेस्ट केस हमारा पास हो रहा है फेल, उसके लिए हमें फिर से कुछ दूसरे कोड लगाने की या फिर कुछ और फ्रेमवर्क या डिपेंडेंसी को ऐड करने की जरूरत नहीं है. दे आर व्हाट सेल्फ वैलिडेटिंग इटसेल्फ. टेस्ट केस पास का मतलब पास किया है, फेल होगा, उसके लिए हमें दूसरे कोड लिखने की बस. इट शुड बी वेरी सिंपल एंड इट शुड बी सेल्फ वैलिडेटिंग एज वेल. Thorough and timely. It should cover all the edge cases. As I told you that it should, for better maintenance, what you need to do, you need to write your test cases, should consider your happy path as well as negative scenario. That means ये हमारे सही सही वैल्यू पे भी काम कर रहा है, गलत वैल्यू दे रहे हैं तो एक्सेप्शन आना चाहिए, और एक्सेप्शन आ भी रहा है. नेगेटिव वैल्यू की सिनेरियो में क्या आउटपुट आना चाहिए. एवरी एज केसेस वी हैव टेस्टेड. So this is your first principle we should follow as much as possible. Okay. Now you need to know that the testing pyramid मतलब अभी हमने बात की थी कि टेस्टिंग किस किस तरह के होते हैं. Unit testing, which is responsibility of the programmer developer who is developing the code or who is improving the code. It should be isolated small piece of code with fake or mock dependencies. इसके अंदर कोई dependency है तो हम उसको fake object या mock object लगा देते हैं. एक दूसरी तरह का टेस्ट होता है integration test. That will be done by the developer, tester. Sometime developer also you will do that one. In our Spring Boot, we are going to perform this integration testing. And this is the entire testing, or you can say that end-to-end testing or UI testing. Integration testing में क्या होता है कि हम अपने कोड को अगर सर्विस लेयर और डेटा एक्सेस लेयर, रिपोजिटरी लेयर, हम सबको इंटीग्रेट करके अपने एप्लीकेशन को टेस्ट करते हैं. Here we don't use a mock object. हम रियल सारे कोड को हमें टेस्ट करना पड़ता है सबको इंटीग्रेट करके. पहले यूनिट टेस्टिंग की बारी आती है. यूनिट टेस्टिंग अगर काम कर रहा है, देन वी नीड टू इंटीग्रेट आवर कोड विद देयर डिपेंडेंसीज, वी टेस्ट दैट, and if this is also working, then we perform that end-to-end testing. That means if our backend and front end, all those things are clubbed together, then we can perform that using some Selenium and some other tools. We perform that end-to-end testing कि हमारे सारे पूरे application end-to-end काम कर रहा है properly या नहीं, expected working or not. So this is the unit test first part, then after integration test, then after end-to-end test. Till this point, I hope everyone is comfortable. Please confirm. हेलो, cool. अब ये टेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क की क्या जरूरत है? अगर if you perform unit testing manually, it takes lots of effort and it will not be standard. अब ये टेस्ट करने के लिए जो हम लिख रहे हैं, ये हम खुद से कोड लिखे, अगर कोड लिखे और चेक करें कि ये वैल्यू हमारा सही आ रहा है या नहीं इस मेथड का, whether it's coming proper value or not. For example, if you just see that this testing example, तो हमें टेस्ट करना है कि ये 4 divided by 2 should come in 2, then only the test case will pass. So we can write it manually also without calling assert equal and those methods. हम एक क्लास लिखेंगे और यहाँ पे इस मेथड को कॉल कर लेंगे, रिजल्ट को चेक करेंगे, इफ रिजल्ट इज ट्रू टेस्ट केस पास, इफ रिजल्ट इज not true or not coming to, then else block, this test case fail. We can define, this is the silliest simplest example, but you can think if you have a big, very big business logic, then we have to write some test cases, and those expected value you can check it yourself as well. लेकिन अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि वहां पे इट विल बी अ मैनुअल एफर्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल दिस क्लास इज टेकिंग सम डिपेंडेंसी, तो आपको क्या होगा, मॉक ऑब्जेक्ट लगाना होगा, तो उसके लिए भी आप कुछ अपने से कोड लिखोगे. सो इफ यू आर डूइंग दोस काइंड ऑफ थिंग, देन इट विल बी अ मैनुअल प्रोसेस एंड it is having too much tedious job as well. So basically you need to use testing framework. और जो आप मैनुअल कोड लिखोगे, that will not be the standard one also. आपने कुछ और तरीके से टेस्ट कर रखा है, कोई और डेवलपर आएगा कुछ वो किसी दूसरे तरीके से टेस्ट करके रखेगा अपने मेथड को, सो दैट विल नॉट बी स्टैंडर्ड. सो देयर इज द फ्रेमवर्क रिक्वायर्ड, कि ये कोई बना बनाया फ्रेमवर्क मिल जाए जिससे हम टेस्टिंग करें. और वो फ्रेमवर्क की एडवांटेज क्या क्या होंगी, लेट्स सी दैट. एडवांटेज ऑफ टेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क, इट अलाउज अस टू ऑर्गेनाइज एंड ग्रुप मल्टीपल टेस्ट. हम अपने सारे टेस्ट को अच्छे से ऑर्गेनाइज करें और बहुत सारे टेस्ट को क्या करें, हम ग्रुप कर सकते हैं. It allows to conduct the test in a simple steps. बहुत ही simple step है टेस्टिंग यूज करना. Just you need to right click, it will automatically give you the bar that means whether the test is notified clearly, your test case is passed or failed. And सबसे important कि it will give a standard way to conduct it. चाहे वो हम यूज करें या आप यूज करें या कोई और भी डेवलपर यूज करे, सेम प्रोसेस वो भी फॉलो करे. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट कि हमने टेस्टिंग के लिए कुछ अदर प्रोसेस फॉलो कर रखा है, किसी और ने कोई और प्रोसेस फॉलो कर रखा है. So that is the major advantage of testing framework. So which testing framework we are going to use? That is JUnit. JUnit is one of the Java testing framework. Just like that, your Hibernate is a ORM framework. Similarly, your JUnit is a Java testing framework given by the Apache Foundation. JUnit latest version है इसका, वो है 5, JUnit 5. And this version is also called as Jupyter API. क्योंकि Jupyter हमारे सौरमंडल का 5वां ग्रह है ना, fifth element, fifth planet is there. That's why they have given the name as Jupyter. Jupyter API for this JUnit 5. This is the latest one. So it is a Java-based open source project frameworks software that allows us to write unit tests of our Java application. This software is given by the Apache Foundation, and the current version of JUnit 5 is also called as JUnit Jupyter API. Before working on these test cases and writing the test cases, let's see that spend a little bit time to the JUnit 5 architecture. JUnit 5 का जो architecture क्या होता है? Let's talk about that, and then after we will directly jump to the code. We will write some test cases and we will validate. Okay, so JUnit 5 framework basically contains 3 things. ये जो पूरा framework है 3 चीजें contain करता है. JUnit platform, JUnit Jupyter API, and JUnit vintage engine. So 3 things it will contain: platform, and which will contain here, and then after API जहाँ पे आपको बहुत सारे annotations मिलेंगे, बहुत सारे assertion पे class मिलेंगे, assertion पे method मिलेंगे, and vintage engine जो कि आप पुराने JUnit के version को आप run कर सकते हो. That means JUnit 5, इसके पहले JUnit 4 था, उसके पहले JUnit 3 था. JUnit 3 was simple. You have to use the classes. There was no annotations. Annotations came in JUnit 4, but it is having the limited annotation, limited way to perform the unit testing. But JUnit 5 is having a rich API, which is having some more annotations, some more feature to conduct your parameterized test, repeated test, and number of new feature came. तो इस JUnit 5 की API से आप पुराने वर्जन का कोई JUnit का कोड लिखा हुआ हो जो 4 में या 3 में, so using this vintage engine you can also test that. This JUnit 5 framework, using that you can work with the old your JUnit particular test cases also you can run, you can execute. तो बात करते हैं ये पहले, इनको बात करने से पहले let's talk about this diagram. So this diagram will give you the enough idea. Or let's talk about this one. JUnit platform, basically it serves a foundation core platform for launching a testing framework on JVM. आपके JVM पे प्लेटफॉर्म को लॉन्च करना, JUnit टेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क को लॉन्च करना, that is given by the JUnit platform. It provides a test engine. Basically इसके अंदर एक टेस्ट इंजन होता है, जैसे डेटाबेस को रन करने के लिए डेटाबेस इंजन होता है, ORM को यूज करने के लिए ORM इंजन होता है. So उसी तरह टेस्ट क्लास को, ये क्लास जिसमें आप टेस्ट मेथड लिखोगे उसका ऑब्जेक्ट आप नहीं बनाओगे, उसके मेथड को आप कॉल नहीं करोगे, राइट? So those things will be done by whom? A test engine. That test engine is given by the JUnit platform for developing and running the test cases or testing framework on the platform. Now, almost all the IDEs like NetBeans, Eclipse, your STS, IntelliJ, and all your build tools like Maven, Gradle provides the first class support for JUnit platform, and we can use those tools to run our unit tests. In simple term, it is a platform that run our unit tests. So this platform basically, it is all the JUnit, ये जितने हम ID की बात करें ना, चाहे NetBeans ID आप यूज करो, Eclipse ID यूज करो, या IntelliJ या STS. Right now, STS is basically Eclipse only. It is having Spring tools related plugins are there, Spring Boot related plugin. और ये ID तो है ही है, लेकिन साथ साथ आपके build tool, Maven और Gradle, ये भी हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म को सपोर्ट करते हैं, JUnit प्लेटफॉर्म को. They will give the first class support to JUnit platform. That means they will provide the engine to test our test cases, run our test cases. It is a what platform that run our test cases. मतलब उसका ऑब्जेक्ट बनाना, उसके मेथड को कॉल करना, it is not a programmer duty. Automatically it will be done by your IDs or your Maven or Gradle tool itself, because they will provide the JUnit platform support. ये API JUnit Jupyter API क्या है? This API is basically combination of your what, that is the new programming model with extension of the extension model for writing test and extensions for JUnit 5. इस JUnit API के अंदर आपको बहुत सारे annotation मिलने वाले हैं. You are going to get so many classes, so many assertions, method, annotations by using which you can perform your test cases or you can perform your unit test. Not only that, this JUnit API also provides some classes, some extra classes. Using that, you can create another testing framework. Extensible manner, मतलब हम चाहते हैं कि कोई दूसरा फ्रेमवर्क बनाए अपने हिसाब से कस्टमाइज करके, तो आपके पास वो इस API में वो भी क्लासेस मिली हुई. Those classes are also there. कि JUnit Jupyter के अलावा कोई और भी टेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क आप बनाना चाहते हो, खुद से डिराइव करना चाहते हो, that should work according to your requirement, according to your wish. So those extension things, or that means वो extension आप खुद से बना सकते हो. This API is having the proper support. So this API provide lots of annotation and assertion that we use in our test method. It also has an extension API to create our own version of test API that we can use in addition to the JUnit API. मतलब हम खुद से अपना टेस्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क बनाना चाहते हैं, कुछ एक्सटर्नल API, कुछ अलग क्लासेस, कुछ अनदर एनोटेशन जो हमारे टेस्ट क्लास के लिए जरूरत पड़े, तो हम इस API में कुछ क्लासेस और एनोटेशंस है जिसकी मदद से हम वो क्लासेस भी बना सकते हैं. And the last one is the vintage engine. This engine to running for JUnit 3 and 4 based test on the platform. Now let's see this diagram, it will give you the more clarity. So basically this is our test code, right? Suppose हम जो class लिखेंगे test cases class, so that class will be there. Let's start from here itself. Now ये test case हम अगर JUnit 5 में हम लिख रहे हैं, for example, so here it is the JUnit 5 API हमें use करना पड़ेगा, उसके annotation, उसके classes को हम use कर रहे हैं. These annotation and classes will be activated or will be run by this JUnit Jupyter engine. JUnit Jupyter engine का काम होगा इसे रन करना, इस API को, और इस इंजन को एक्टिवेट कौन करेगा? That will be the JUnit platform engine. JUnit platform engine basically it will check कि अगर आपका JUnit 4 वाला कोड है, so it will activate this vintage engine. अगर आपका JUnit 5 वाला कोड है, then it will activate this JUnit Jupyter engine. If it is your testing engine, that means अगर आप कुछ नया फ्रेमवर्क बना रहे हो, कुछ नए क्लासेस वगैरह यूज कर रहे हो, कुछ अलग तरह से आप उसे एक्सटेंस कर रहे हो, then it will activate this testing engine, test API. So this engine, platform engine, will gonna activate based on your code or which type of testing code you have written. It will activate those engines. And this engine will be activated by the platform launcher. प्लेटफॉर्म लॉन्चर जो है वही हमारे टेस्ट इंजन को स्टार्ट करता है, और ये इंजन चेक करेगा आपका कोड किस तरह का है। अगर 4 वाला कोड है तो ये एक्टिवेट कर देगा विंटेज इंजन को, अगर JUnit 5 वाले एनोटेशन कोड है तो ये एक्टिवेट कर देगा जुपिटर इंजन को, और अगर कुछ आपने एक्सटेंशन कोड वगैरह लिख रखा है सो दैट विल बी एक्टिवेटेड बाय टेस्टिंग इंजन. So this will be the platform launcher will do that, activate the engine, and engine will decide which type of engine it will going to activate. And this JUnit platform launcher will be what? It will be activated, or it will be activated by whom? By your Eclipse ID, your IntelliJ, STS, Maven, Gradle. So basically this JUnit platform launcher, टेस्टिंग एपीआई जैसे हमने बात की ना कि आपको कुछ एक्सटेंशन बनाना है JUnit पे, सो उसके लिए हम टेस्टिंग एपीआई को हम यूज करते हैं। टेस्टिंग एपीआई का यूज करके हम अपने JUnit पे कुछ एक्सटेंशन बना सकते हैं, अपने हिसाब से उसे कस्टमाइज कर सकते हैं कुछ और तरीके से कि हमारा टेस्ट केस कुछ इस तरह से काम करे, कुछ ये मेथड जो है हमारा कुछ दूसरे तरीके से काम करे. सो दैट इज द टेस्टिंग एपीआई. सो दिस launcher platform helps different IDE tools like Maven to search and get the JUnit platform engine. यही launcher platform जो है ये हमारे engine को activate करता है, और ये launcher platform हमारे Eclipse या फिर IntelliJ या Gradle में inbuilt रहती है. So this is what it is inbuilt in our IntelliJ, Eclipse or Maven or Gradle. So they will launch that JUnit platform launcher. It will just take that help, and this launcher will activate the engine. And this engine having a different implementation. Agar aapke 4 wale code hai, so it will activate this engine. Otherwise 5, so this engine. And if it's an extension, so this engine will be activated. Okay, so this is the one basic architecture about that JUnit 5 related API. So let me just analyze this. Okay. Now JUnit and build tools. Build tools जो हम Maven और Gradle यूज करते हैं. build tool नॉर्मल कोड जावा पे तो हमारा JUnit काम करता है. नॉर्मल कोड जावा आप जैसे Eclipse पे यूज करो, IntelliJ पे, लेकिन build tool के साथ भी इसका प्रॉपर सपोर्ट होता है. There are different way to create the Java application, as we know that, and there are different tools to build and manage their dependency in our project. जावा एप्लीकेशन बनाने के कई तरीके हैं. नॉर्मल हम एप्लीकेशन भी बना सकते हैं जो आपने JA111 में बनाया था. SB101 में हमने Maven के थ्रू जावा एप्लीकेशन बनाया था. Maven वाला एप्लीकेशन हमें ज्यादा स्टैंडर्ड तरीका देता है डिपेंडेंसीज को pom.xml में ऐड करना, उसके जार फाइल को इजी इस तरीके से बना लेना, राइट. तो और फोल्डर स्ट्रक्चर भी देता है हमें, कहाँ रिसोर्स फोल्डर रखना है, कहाँ पे मेन कोड रखना है, कहाँ पे टेस्ट कोड रखना है. So there are different ways are there to manage our applications. Almost all the IDEs like NetBeans, Eclipse, IntelliJ, Buildtool, Maven, Gradle provide this first-class support we have just discussed, and we can set up the JUnit for different type of Java project like normal Java project, Maven project, and Gradle project. हम इसके अलग-अलग setup, and we are going to see that in a normal Java project also how we can perform the setup, and even in the Maven project also how we can perform the setup. Let's start the coding part. So before starting the coding part, we should take a small break for just 5 to 10 minutes. And then we will come back and we will see that practical example about this JUnit. Okay, so it is 4 o'clock. We will take 4:05 or 4:10. Your wish. Okay, 4:10. So 10-minute break. We'll come back by 4:10 and we will continue. Okay, welcome back. So let's continue the session. So let's talk about that JUnit here in the Maven based application. First, we are going to start with the Maven, and then after we will see that example with the normal Java project as well. So Maven में यूज करने के लिए हमें पहले तो क्या चाहिए, JUnit की डिपेंडेंसी, JUnit की लाइब्रेरी ऐड करना है अपने प्रोजेक्ट में. So let me create one Maven project first. new. So side view problem. Zakir, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Zakir, please check out that. Some problems are there with this side view. Cool. So new, and here I'm creating the project, Maven project, and skip the archetype selection. Click on new, group ID, com.masai, artifact ID, let's say that JUnit, Maven app one, app one, app, click on finish. So JUnit Maven app. So this is the application it will be created. And now, as you know that since it's a Maven project, so you'll see that the entire structure is already created for by the Maven, like that SRC main Java, जहाँ पे आप source code रखोगे, SRC main resource where we want to keep some resources like application, like your properties file, like XML file, any kind of external resources. And this is your SRC test Java, where you are going to keep the test code, test cases for your main classes. And this resources basically to keep those resources which is used by the test cases. Make sense? So it is all giving the proper folder structure to manage your code properly. So first open the pom.xml, and here we need to change the Java version, which is right now 1.5. अभी हमें इसे Java version 17 करना है, and I hope you know that thing how to do that. So Maven source and target. Click on this. We're going to get this property. Copy and paste this. Let me change that here to 17. Like this. Save this project and update the Maven project. You have done this one in your SB 101, I guess. Please confirm. Update the project. Cool. So my Java 17 is changed. Now I need a section called dependencies. And in this, I need to add JUnit related dependencies in our Maven project. So let's quickly do that one. So here I'm going to say that MVN repository. And this is the MVN repository where we need to search Jupyter, JUnit, Jupyter. So JUnit Jupyter, it is having basically, if you want to use one by one, तो आपको 3 डिपेंडेंसी ऐड करनी पड़ेगी. एक JUnit Jupyter API, JUnit Jupyter engine, and this is one optional one if you want to perform some parameterize and some advanced kind of testing. JUnit Jupyter params. 3 one by one either you can use, और तीनों को आपको इकट्ठा यूज करना है, so simple one only, that is aggregator you can use. This is the combination of these 3 dependency, API, engine, as well as params. So here it is also mentioned in your notes. Let me show you. So here we can add the dependencies either one by one. This is the first JUnit Jupyter API, JUnit Jupyter engine, and this is the JUnit param, optional to conduct parameterized test. Or we can add one single aggregate dependency from the Maven repository, which is this one, aggregator. So click on this aggregator and check out this one, 5.9.3 version, which is stable version. So copy this and paste that in a dependency section. With this in your Maven project, you are going to get all the JUnit related library. Now you can notice in the Maven dependencies, you are going to see that your JUnit Jupyter and all its sub dependencies, which is going to get added. Here param, engine, API, JUnit Jupyter, all their dependencies got added in your project. Those jar file. That means JUnit framework अब आपके Maven project में add हो चुका है. Am I clear till this point? Please confirm. Now create a Maven project, and inside that SRC folder, create a Java class that contain main business logic. So let's create this calculator class inside our main package. That is SRC main.java. So let me copy this class and SRC main Java, new class that should be in a package from .masai And here is a class calculator. And in this calculator class, I have a very simple method, main business logic, which will divide two numbers. So this is the divide method, which will take number one, num2, and num1 divided by num2, it will be returned as an integer value. This code, we need to test that. Imagine this is a business logic. It's a very silliest and simple method, but in real time, there could be a very big method, which could contain a number of statement. That method also we need to test कि हमारा as expected काम कर रहा है, right? लेकिन इस कोड के अंदर मेन बिजनेस लॉजिक के आपको हजारों स्टेटमेंट हो सकते हैं, लेकिन जो आप टेस्ट केस लिखोगे उसमें हजारों स्टेटमेंट नहीं होंगे. देयर वी डोंट परफॉर्म एनी रियल बिजनेस टास्क. वेरी सिंपल टेस्ट केस, बस उसे असर्ट करना है कि एक्सपेक्टेड से काम मैच कर रहा है. ओके, सो दिस स्टेप इज आल्सो डन. नाउ क्रिएट अ टेस्ट क्लास टू टेस्ट द above मेथड. कहां पे? src टेस्ट जावा फोल्डर के अंदर. ये src मेन जावा के अंदर था, अब src टेस्ट जावा के अंदर लिखना है हमें टेस्ट क्लास. सो इनसाइड दिस just minimize src test java, right click, new, create a class. तो मेन जो क्लास जिसके अंदर फंक्शनैलिटी को हम टेस्ट करने वाले हैं उसका नाम है कैलकुलेटर, और जो टेस्ट केस लिखेंगे उसका नाम होगा पैकेज. क्या होगा? सेम पैकेज जो आपने ऊपर दे रखा था, com.msl, like this, and you can finish. So this is your test class. Okay, right now it is an ordinary Java class. Ordinary Java class here, it is not at all a test class. So here com.msl package, and this is a test class. Now what we need to do, let me just copy and paste this code, and then we will discuss about this code in detail. It's not copied properly. Control Shift O to organize the imports. Now let's notice what is there in this test case. So this is my test case. Naming convention के बाद में हम बाद में बात करेंगे. So here we should not worry about the complexities of the main business logic. उसमें क्या क्या complexities है, हमें बस चेक करना है कि उसका method सही सही काम कर रहा है. First of all, we need to define a method. One method, return type void, public method, and the method naming convention. Technically, you can give any name. 1, 2, 3, any name. कुछ भी नाम दे सकते हो आप. A, B, C, whatever. But the convention of the test case method, we have to follow some convention. Some rules are there we need to follow. Not rule, convention basically. The method name is divide. So method should be what? Prefixed with the test divide. Here test, and then after D should be capital. Underscore, that means what is the condition? When valid value provided, underscore should return expected result. Like just now I told that already to what it is a self-explanatory, this method name. Now again we have a 3A section, that is assert, arrange, act, assert. So arrange, we created the object. Act, we just did what? We just call our c.divide method, pass the value, and here we get the result. And this assert section में हमारे पास एक क्लास है assertion. उस क्लास के बारे में डिटेल बात करेंगे. यही मेन क्लास है जिससे कि आप एक्सपेक्टेड को एक्चुअल से कंपेयर करोगे. इसके क्लास के अंदर बहुत सारे स्टैटिक मेथड है. assert equal, assert not equal, assert, in number of methods are there. Assert null, assert not null, assert throws, in number of assert methods are there. By using that, you can compare your actual logic with the expected value. The third parameter is optional. You can specify a message. A message कि जब ये test case fail हो, तो test report से ये message generate होना चाहिए. So I'm saying that assertions dot assert equal to, मतलब this is the your expected value and this is the original value, actual value, whatever is coming. So here message is optional, but the default message is not much descriptive. अगर हम मैसेज यहाँ ना दें और assertion fail हो जाए हमारा, तब क्या होगा? कोई default message हमें मिलेगी. We are going to get a default message which is not much more descriptive, but we should provide our real message that should be very much descriptive. It's your wish. You can provide whatever message you can give. So here I'm saying that 4 divided by 2 should have returned 2. Okay.
Now, here we can define this message using lambda expression also. For example, assertion.assert equal to and result, and this message you can give specified this way, like this lambda expression, and you can specify this message. This lambda expression वाला थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा optimized होता है, and it will give you the better performance compared to the traditional message. So this lambda message will be executed only at the time if this test message fail. It will not, and it will improve the performance as well. It will give you the better performance. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर हमने यहाँ 4 और 2 की जगह में अगर वैल्यू दे दिया और कंकैट कर रहे हैं, कुछ ऐसा एक्सप्रेशन हमने लिख रखा है इस मैसेज के अंदर जो कि रन टाइम इवैल्यूएट हो, तो वो हर बार वो हमारा मैसेज इवैल्यूएट होगा. लेकिन अगर लैम्डा एक्सप्रेशन से अगर मैसेज डिफाइन करेंगे तो ये उसी वक्त इवैल्यूएट होगा जब ये हमारा मेथड फेल होगा. Otherwise, it will not going to get evaluated. It will be simple term, simple message, your wish, you can give anyway, but this message will have little edge, will give the better performance. So this is your message is written. The most important part is your what test annotation. This test annotation will tell this is a test case. This is a test case. If you just remove this test annotation, it will no longer be a test case. ये आपका normal class होगा. And this method is a normal method. It's not a test method, right? You can't test this method. Your framework will not identify this test method. Your framework will not run this. You have to use this test annotation. To mention, this is your test class, as well as this method is your test method. Now, one important thing here, we need not create object of this class. हमें इस class का object बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है. This method is a non-static method. इसे call करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. Everything will be done by whom? Your JUnit engine. JUnit engine will going to, or framework, you can say that. Your JUnit framework will create the object of this class, run this test case, and generate the report, whether your message, that means this assertion is passed or failed. Am I clear? Please confirm. Now, what we can do here, it is not always to run our application in normal way. हम चाहे तो हम यहाँ से इसे run करके देख सकते हैं. So what we can do, we can right click, is the option run as, and there is the option here JUnit test. See here, there is no any main method in this class. First of all, अगर आप normal compare करो Java application से, तो test यहाँ पे normal पे हमारे पास main method नहीं है, right? और जिसमें हम इसका object बना रहे हैं या कुछ call कर रहे हैं, तो इसे normally इसे हम यहाँ पे run में आप जाइए तो यहाँ पे आपको option नहीं मिलेगा, run as application or whatever. Here is the option you are getting JUnit test. आप इसे ऐसे रन कर सकते हो नॉर्मल तरीके से. लेकिन जैसे ही हम एनोटेशन को अगर हमने एनोटेट कमेंट में कर दिया इसे, अब आप यहाँ ध्यान देना, if I just try to create run as, you are not going to get this option run as JUnit test, क्योंकि अभी आपका टेस्ट यूनिट टेस्ट क्लास नहीं है. As soon as I will give this annotation here, now this option will come here. You can run this one as a JUnit test. And if I click on this, see the output here. Here you are going to get one green symbol here. It is saying that run one by one. Error 0, failure 0. That means कोई भी error नहीं है, कोई भी failure नहीं है, मतलब test case आपके पास है. Test calculator, and if you click on this, here test divide when this method is there, and here is that there is no any problem, so you are going to get the proper output like this. That means your test case is passed. Now let me just do that here. Let me fail the test case. I'm expecting here what 5. Imagine I'm expecting 6, but the actual is sorry, it's 4 here, 4 by 2, and here I'm writing I'm expecting 5. Now what will happen? This test case will fail. So if I run this, run as JUnit test. Here you will see that one run, error 0, failure 1. एक test case आपका fail कर रहा है. कौन सा? If you see this here, click on this, and here in the failure trace, you will see that the proper message, whatever you have written, 4 divided by 2 should have returned 2. Make sense? Please confirm. अगर ये message हमने नहीं दिया, if I don't give this message, let me just remove this message. And now still this test case will fail, but see that what will happen. Run as unit test. Test case fail, and you will see that failure trace. This time it will generate a default message. The default message is here. You are not going to get the proper way to understand this. The default message expected 5, but was 2. This is the message only it was generated. Not it is not descriptive way, right? So this is the red and green symbol will denote that कि test cases pass हो रहे हैं या fail हो रहे हैं. Let me put that here to understand. So this test case will pass. So this is a normal or manual way to run your test case. लेकिन जरूरी नहीं कि आप हर बार ऐसे ही test case को run करें. Since it is a Maven project, so see this notes here. It is not always to run our application in normal way. जो हम अभी ऐसे run कर रहे थे, run as JUnit. We may run our project using Maven build phase. हम build phase में हम application को जब हम build करते हैं, हम चाहते हैं हमारा test case वहां पे run है, right? So if you recall, in our Maven we have certain build phases are there. Like we have a compile, we have a test compile, we have a package, right? And we have a install, deploy. This different type of clean, different type of test phases. Maven build phases are there. In that there is a one phase called test. So when we do the packaging of our application, that time also our test cases will run. It will run and it will generate that report on a console, not on your red symbol and green symbol. So in Maven project, nobody will run your program and see the green bar and red bar. They will directly build your application. And at the building phase itself, it will generate कि आपका test cases pass हो रहा है या नहीं. अगर test case fail हो गए, एक भी test case fail हुआ, you are not able to see your package. That means your build phase will fail. Your build will fail here, and you are not going to get the proper outcome or artifact from your project. So let's try to build this application using Maven and run these test cases as well. So how to run this one? So you can right click on the project here, entire project. और इस project को हम build कर रहे हैं. Run as Maven build, this 3 dot. And here you need to give the goal as clean. And then you can say that package. कि पिछला वाला clean मतलब सारे artifact delete हो जाए, जो भी हमारे outcome है, and अब हमारा application bundle हो जाए, जिस हमारे jar file में हमारा application build हो जाए. So this is the goal I have given, and then click on run method. Now if I run this, so all the phases will execute. It will scan our project and will do all those things. And you will notice our application will be built. You'll see here build success. Run 1, failure 0, error 0, right? Everything is working fine, but your test cases related report will not be generated here. Let's say that what I'm going to do, I'm going to, here you will not able to see कि कितने test cases pass हुए हैं and कितने fail हुए हैं. So test run 1 and failure 0, error 0. Snapshot version, here calculator test. Skip 1. Let me run this. Actually, this is added. Maven Surefire plugin is already added. Let me just fail this test case. I'm putting that assert. I'm expecting 5. Now let's try to build it once again. Maven build. Clean. Package. This time the build failure, and it is saying that properly कि यहाँ पे आप ध्यान से देखो. Run 1, failure 1, and error 0, skip 0. That means your test case failed and your build is failure. That means आपका application का jar file नहीं बनने वाला है. Actually, in the latest version, it is not asking for the Surefire plugin. Basically, by default, it is using here. It is already used here Surefire plugin from our application because I have already downloaded that. But if you have not downloaded and if you are using, otherwise क्या होगा ना, ये Surefire plugin क्या होता है इसके बारे में बात करते हैं यहाँ पे. I have already downloaded this in my Eclipse. I have configured. That's why it is not asking. Otherwise, अगर आपने Spherefire plugin add नहीं किया और आप Maven build करोगे, तो it will ignore your test cases. It will not able to build your. That means आपका application test case fail भी होगा या pass भी होगा. You are not able to see this result. Directly your application will be built. It will not going to execute your what, not generate that report here and not execute your test case. In order to get that, here's the message is mentioned. That is, here we can see our application we will build with running the test cases also, but it will not recognize our test method. To recognize our test method, we need to add Maven Surefire plugin inside form.xml. मैंने पिछले project में Surefire plugin add कर रखा था, so in this one it is not asking, but here you need to add this Maven Surefire plugin. And maybe because of this repository, it is also not working because I have used this current JUnit version. From the previous JUnit version, if you are using the older one, so here I have used 5.9.3. And in our notes, which version I have used, 5.9.3 itself. Since I have already added that, that's why it is not asking. Otherwise, you need to add one Maven plugin. That means your Surefire plugin is there. That plugin you need to add in your Maven repository. Let me add this one. So you need to use here build after dependencies section. And in this plugins, and in this you need to use plugin. This plugin के अंदर आपको डालना है एक Maven Surefire plugin, from where you are going to get here. This is Maven repository. Just type Maven Surefire. So Maven Surefire plugin, you need to click on this. You need to select any current version. And here you have this dependency. This time you should not add this entire dependency. आपको plugin add करना है. Plugin का section आपने बना लिया है. You need to just copy this thing. Copy this and paste that in the plugin section. And save this file and right click. Maven update project. Done.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Actually, my just router got down, so that's what the. Okay. I hope my voice is clear. Please confirm. Good. So we are talking about this Maven Surefire plugin. Based on this plugin only, your Maven application will recognize this test cases. Otherwise, while running your application as a test method, run as Maven build, so it won't recognize your test method. Maybe in my STS, somewhere it got cached, that's why it is working, but in your application, it will definitely not work. Idea plugins. Please give idea about plugins, what it is. Vivek is asking, what is a plugin? Plugin is basically some small patch software which will enhance the capability of your IDs. Plugin क्या करता है आपकी ID की capability को add करता है. It won't मतलब enhance कर देता है. It will not add any dependency for your project. Your project will compile and it will run successfully. But your ID will able to generate the report. So you might have to use in your future n number of plugins in your dependent Maven. Might be you need to use the Docker related plugin, Jenkins related plugin. कि आप प्लगइन से आपको मेवन में वो सपोर्ट आ जाएगा कि आप डॉकर की इमेज बना सकते हो, आप जेनकिंस का सपोर्ट कर सकते हो. सो देयर आर एन नंबर ऑफ प्लगइन्स आर देयर फॉर मेवन, so you can add those plugin to enhance the capability of your ID. Make sense? Prithvi is asking, can we add the dependency of Maven Surefire directly? No, we cannot do that. Maven Surefire की dependency और plugin का मतलब क्या difference क्या होता है? Dependency use होती है ये library आप अपने application में use कर रहे हो. That means if you don't use add this dependency, आपके test cases के अंदर ये annotations, ये assertion class ये नहीं मिलेगा. मतलब ये जो आप API use कर रहे हो अपने class के अंदर, it won't be accessible. So those will be accessible only when you have added this dependency. But the plugin purely means is what? You are not going to use any classes or the interfaces of this particular class in your application. You just enhancing the capability of your Maven or your ID. Make sense? That's why I just need to use this group ID and Maven Surefire plugin, this version inside this plugin section. Okay, so you have to add this plugin and then only you are going to get the capability to run your project. And your Maven will identify. Otherwise, अगर आप ये plugin add ना करोगे, तो while running your application, here you are not able to see that the test report. Your test class won't be recognized by your Maven project. So you have to add this Maven Surefire plugin. So this is a way how we can use this Surefire plugin and we can run here. The steps are also mentioned there. That is right click on the project, run as Maven build ... and type package, or you can write what in goal, or you can directly type what clean and package. So previous build will be clean, will be destroyed, and new build will be there. हम Maven project अगर Maven हमने अपने सिस्टम में इंस्टॉल कर रखा है, पाथ वगैरह सेट कर रखा है अगर हमने, तो हम mvn कमांड से भी हम इसे रन कर सकते हैं. In my system, I guess it is already there, so you can open that application in a terminal and you can just open in the command prompt mvn package. Automatically it will do that. You don't need any kind of ID also. So once your application is developed, let's say that this application is developed, I can go to the location of this application, that is properties. Here is that location. Here it is. And you need to move inside the particular application, open the terminal, and you can type mvn package. Or you can write clean and package also, but you can give that package, or you can say that test also, let's say that package. In my system, I guess MVN older version or with the Java old itself, then you can check to use this MVN command. Maven project, Maven software need to be installed. Just like हम JDK software install करते हैं ना, वैसे ही आपको install करना पड़ेगा. It will download some plugins and all those things, and then it will build your application. आपके application का jar file बना देगा, सारे test cases run कर देगा, and then it will give the report as well to you. It will take a while. First time it is running. First time it will take a little while to download some plugins in your terminal, and then We're going to get that your test cases is running there and your test cases fail and build a failure. That means here you are getting the proper output. और अगर ये टेस्ट केस पास हो जाता है तो आपको आपकी इस फोल्डर के अंदर सारी चीजें मिल जाती है. Target report, in that report also you will get that report test cases as well. Like this. So it is very simple to use that in our here itself. Let me close this. Cool. Make this terminal as well. So this is a way how we can run our test cases using normal approach as well as using Maven build phase as well. In order to run our application in Maven build phase, you can console per v to same RI. Yes, same thing will come. So in that case, you are not, let's say that you are getting the project. Somebody has given the project in a zip file and you need not take a STS ID. You don't need the STS ID to run your project. आप Maven को install कर लो सिस्टम में और टर्मिनल पे ही आप उसे रन करके देख सकते हो. Suppose that you are a team lead, somebody has developed the project. You are asking, hey, give me the project here, send the project as a zip file or from the GitHub repository. So what you need to do, you don't need any IDE to install and import the application in the IDE and then install the Maven dependencies and all those things and running your application, not required. You just need what? Have to be installed the Maven in your system. Maven install build, you can install that. And from the command prompt, you can run your Maven application. That means your application you can run and you can check out that entire report. कि हाँ कितने टेस्ट केस पास हो रहे हैं, कितने टेस्ट केस फेल हो रहे हैं. Make sense, Sudhanshu? Good. Now, using JUnit in STS normal application. Let's see that till now हमने क्या use किया था Maven project. लेकिन अब हम use कर रहे हैं normal project में. Normal project में JUnit हम कैसे use करते हैं? So same application, I am not using Maven approach. I am using the normal approach. So normal हम कैसे बनाते हैं? New Java project. I am giving that normal JUnit. Normal app. It's not a Maven app. You did not create this module and click on next, finish. ये Maven project नहीं, ये आपका normal Java application है. तो इसमें क्या हम JUnit use कर सकते हैं? First of all, we need what? JUnit की dependencies, library. Am I correct? JUnit Jupyter library, I require that. Then only I can write the test cases, right? So first of all, we need to Maven में हम क्या कर रहे थे? Direct हम pom.xml से dependency add कर रहे थे. But here, since the normal project, we don't have pom.xml. So what we can do directly, our STS or ID will also have the first class support. We can go to the right click over here in the normal project. And there's the option build path and add libraries. You can click on that add library. And here you will see that JUnit related libraries are there. Click on next. And here you can select all the libraries, whatever you need. This is the latest one, JUnit 5. Select this and click on finish. Now you will see that your JUnit 5 related libraries are also added. Now this JUnit 5 API is also applicable or available in your project. Now what you need to do on a SRC, create a class that is inside a package from.msi. Class name will be the calculator. Sorry, mistake. And in the same class, same thing I'm just going to use. So we copy paste. Done. So main class is minimize this project. So this is our main class is created. अब हमें test case लिखना है. Test case लिखने के लिए क्या करना होगा? We need to click on the project first. Go to the new and there is a one option source folder. Click on the source folder, give the name of this folder as test. So it will give you the similar to the source SRC, you will get the test folder as well. और इसके अंदर आपको क्या लिखना है? You know that. You need to create a class. Class name should be calculator test. And the package name should be on the side. Like this. And this is your calculator test. You need to just write the logic, whatever you have written in this test. Over. Yes, package name should be same. This name, this service class के method को आप test कर रहे हो, वही package name यहाँ पे भी है. Right? Okay. So once my application is done, now we can do the testing here. यहाँ पे हम Maven build या फिर Maven package नहीं कर सकते. ये हमारा normal project है. यहाँ पे run करने का तरीका है right click, run as, change test. So you will get that here one test failed. That is what is the problem here. You know that. So you can change it accordingly. So let me just change here. The value should be 2. Run this one once again. Right click, run as, change test. This time test will be passed. So we have seen that both approach in a normal project, how we can do, in a Maven project, how we can do. This step is also mentioned. In normal project में हमें कैसे use करना है. So build a path, add libraries, choose JUnit 5, create a folder, source folder, test folder, and here you need to create a calculator test. Okay, now let's move on and see that the next thing. In the test result, we can see 3 things: success, failure, error. 3 चीजें मिलती हैं. Success, green symbol or signal. Failure, red, not matching. Error मतलब कि ना तो ये success है ना ही failure है, कि दूसरे तरह का एक्सेप्शन आ गया. मतलब आपके कोड में, आपके टेस्ट केस के कोड में कुछ गड़बड़ है. मतलब you have some other exception coming while testing your code. That is a different. It is not, no way it is considered. That means your test case has having some problem. Your business logic is not tested. Right? So this is your error. So we need to concentrate only in success and failure to check our business logic is working properly or not. Error matlab test code mein hi kuch problem hai, then only you are going to get an error. Okay. Now, if we execute a unit test method and none of the test method fail or does not throw any exception, that means our test case passed. अगर सारे test case में कोई exception नहीं throw कर रहा है, कोई fail नहीं है, मतलब सारे test case pass. अब ये assertion class की बात करते हैं, assertion and assertion message. तो assertions means comparing the actual with the expected value. There is a one class called assertions. अब उसके अंदर बहुत सारे static method है, like that. Assert equal ये हम already use कर रखे हैं. Here expected, actual, and third optional parameter, that is a message. Similar to assert equal, we have assert not equal, assert false, assert true, assert not null, assert not null, assert throws, assert all, and fail. So there are different type of assert method. There is only one fail method which is not prefixed with the assert. What is the meaning? The name itself is a self-explanatory. So ये सारे static method है. आप चाहो तो अगर आपको बहुत सारे assert method लिखने हैं, तो what you can do, you can use this static method as expected, assertion dot assert equal. और आपके पास एक और तरीका है, वो क्या है कि आप इस assertion class को statically import कर लो. So I'm just removing this assert, and here you can import this one. Now you can notice this is import static and assertions dot assert equal. No need to give this class again and again. To pollute this class every time, assertions dot. Directly you can utilize their methods. This is called a static import. I hope you are aware with this concept. Please confirm. Hello? So these are some assertion method. We are going to use most of them in our coming session. That means today's example. Now, coding convention, as I told you already, that means we need to use that name of the test class must start with the word, must end with the word test. That means if a class name इसके अंदर simple interest नाम का कोई class है, तो उसका जो test class का नाम होगा वो simple interest test class. And the test method जिसके अंदर हम test case लिखने वाले हैं should be annotated with either a test or repeated test annotation. ये repeated test क्या होता है? We will see in a moment. Technically, we can provide our test name anything, but the convention that test name will be should be descriptive form, and we have seen that what is the form. That means test should start with that, वो मेथड का नाम जिसे हम टेस्ट करने वाले हैं, कंडीशन एंड एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट, एंड इन विच फॉर्म आई हैव रिटन दिस टेस्ट मेथड नेम, टेस्ट मेथड का नाम, देन आफ्टर द कंडीशन एंड expected result. Am I clear? So just like that, test divide, when 4 is divided by 2 should return 2. And in that case, we have written our logic. Test divide, when dividend is divided by 0, then should throw arithmetic exception. This should be the method name. Method name itself should be self-explanatory. Okay, one of the disadvantage of this type of descriptive name is what it looks very long in a test report. टेस्ट रिपोर्ट में ये मेथड का नाम काफी लंबा चौड़ा दिखाई देगा आपको। मेथड का नाम तो हम ऐसा लिखेंगे हम, लेकिन जब टेस्ट रिपोर्ट जब जनरेट होगी, मेथड का नाम लिखने से फायदा क्या होगा कि जब हम टेस्ट केस लिखेंगे तो पता चल जाएगा नाम से कि कौन सा इसमें हमें क्या परफॉर्म करना है। लेकिन जब ये टेस्ट रिपोर्ट जनरेट होती है ना, दैट टाइम दिस मेथड नेम विल कम ऑन योर रिपोर्ट, टू लॉन्ग नेम। तो उसका सिंपल तरीका क्या है, यू कैन यूज दिस एनोटेशन, डिस्प्ले नेम। So display name will give you, let's say that in our test report, in this example, if I run this example and see here, run as JUnit test. So here is the test class, there is no failure trace, लेकिन अगर ये fail हो जाता है, let's say that here I'm giving that 4, save this. Now in the test trace here, failure trace, if you notice, this name is too much long here. Add com.masai calculated test, and here test divide when value provided should not, like that. Too much big name is there. So ये जो टेस्ट रिपोर्ट आएगा ना, थोड़ा सा अगली नजर आता है, तो इसे कस्टमाइज करने के लिए हमारे पास एक डिस्प्ले नेम का एनोटेशन है। You can specify this display name annotation on the top of your class as well as top of your method also. कि क्लास के भी ऊपर आप लगा सकते हो। Let me just take this one, paste that in a class on the top of this, and on the top of your test method also you can apply this. Now if I run this program, you will see that this descriptive message will come in your test report. So here, that is that test method operation in the calculator class. This is the class level message, and this is the method level message. That means test 4 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And the failure message kya hai, that message you are able to see. So in a test report, you are going to get the descriptive message with the test display level. Same example is already mentioned there, so you can go with this. Now method structure, we already discussed about this one also. That means here we have the 3 section. Assert, that means arrange. Arrange means given. आपके पास क्या-क्या value given है. We need to create the object. And dividend, divisor, expected. 3 integer variable I have taken. Act or when. जब हम act करेंगे dividend, and second parameter is divisor, we are getting the result. So expected is value 2 and result, and here in the lambda form I have given this message. Divided by divisor did not produce expected result. So this is the structure, standard structure to writing a test case. Always remember these 3 sections: arrange, act, and assert. Okay. Before moving to the next things, let's discuss about the JUnit life cycle. JUnit का life cycle काफी interesting है. अगर आपने 2-3 टेस्ट केसेस लिखे हैं ना, तो होता क्या है, हर टेस्ट केस के लिए हमारा JUnit फ्रेमवर्क हमारे क्लास का एक अलग-अलग ऑब्जेक्ट बनाता है. Let me show you. So in this test case, let me just show that this example. Here it is. We'll remove this display name also. This display name as well. So this is the test method, right? And give that here assert equal to, so this should be passed. And I'm defining one other method. And when divided by, when negative values are provided, should return expected result or whatever the value you should get there. So I am dividing here -4 divided by 2. So it should return 2. Let's see that one. So this is another method I have written, another test case. So this one also. So in this test class, I have two test methods are there. एक में हम negative से divide कर रहे हैं, एक में positive से. अब इसे हम run करेंगे. Let me run this one, new JUnit test. You are able to see the proper output. That means here this calculated test, which is having two methods, one test case passed, one test case failed, right? And it is not giving the proper result as expected. You know that what is the reason why this test case failed. लेकिन जब ये टेस्ट केस हमारे कितने भी टेस्ट केसेस वो रन होता है ना, तो इंटरनली क्या होता है, this class we are not creating the object, we are not calling the method. Our JUnit engine is doing that. JUnit engine, what it will do that, it will create the object of this class per method. हर टेस्ट केस के लिए एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनेगा और इसके मेथड कॉल हो जाएंगे. What is the proof? I'm going to create the constructor of this class, and inside the constructor I'm defining a statement, that is calculator test object is created. Now let me run this test case once again. Now you'll be able to see that this statement will be printed 2 times because of 2 test cases. That means इसके object 2 बार बनता है. हर test case के लिए एक object. You can change this strategy as well. You will see that how to change this strategy. But for the time being, normally for each test case, your test engine will create a separate object. हर object पे जैसे अगर 5 टेस्ट केस मेथड लिखे हुए हैं तो 5 ऑब्जेक्ट बनेंगे आपके क्लास के अंदर. इस क्लास का 5 ऑब्जेक्ट बनेंगे. Am I clear till this point? So here is that test class is having 3 test methods. So this is the first instance, second instance, third instance. और ये भी जरूरी इनका ऑर्डर भी कोई it is not guaranteed कि पहले ये टेस्ट केस रन होगा फिर ये टेस्ट केस रन होगा. We have some mechanism to give them ordered way. But by default, it will not follow the order. You can't guarantee that this order में हमारे test case रहेंगे. Got it? Okay. Due to the time constraint, just go through this notes. It is very well maintained and very well written. So each point you will be able to understand. I'm just quickly going to show you the more important things. Now, JUnit API is having some life cycle method. अब ये जब हमारा test case run होते हैं ना, इस केस में हम कुछ life cycle फेज होते हैं जिसमें हम कुछ कोड एग्जीक्यूट करवा सकते हैं. With the help of which we can manage our test code and execute some code in a specific phase of the life cycle of our JUnit method. These methods should not be used to test anything. इन मेथड का हम यूज किसी चीज को टेस्ट करने के लिए नहीं करते हैं, बल्कि इनका हम यूज क्यों करते हैं? To allocate and release the resources to conduct the test cases. कुछ रिसोर्स को allocate करने के लिए या उन्हें रिलीज करने के लिए. Just we are going to use them. For example, some resources you are using a scanner class and some other file input output operation, something you are doing there. So some resources you can allocate in their life cycle phases. Just like that, you might have used in your Spring Boot post construct a tree destroy. Similar kind of code if you want to use, here you have some annotations out there. If you remember in our Spring code, we have the post construct tree destroy annotations out there. Please confirm. Yes, similar kind of thing is here also. So lifecycle method should be annotated with one of the following annotations: before all, after all, before each, after each. So before all and after all, these methods should be static, and before each, after each, they should be non-static. इनका मतलब क्या है? इनके नाम से ही समझ में आ जाएगा. Before each मतलब हर टेस्ट केस के पहले ये हमारा लॉजिक एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगा, और हर टेस्ट केस के बाद आफ्टर ईच वाला एग्जीक्यूट होगा. बिफोर ऑल मतलब सारे टेस्ट केस के पहले और आफ्टर ऑल सारे टेस्ट केस के बाद. All each, just remember this one, you'll get the idea. For example, here we have, suppose that some test method is there, test method 3, test method 1, test method 2, right? अब हर टेस्ट के लिए क्लास बनेगी, हमारे अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट बनता है. हमें पता है कि इस टेस्ट के लिए हमारा इंजन एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाएगा, फिर इस टेस्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए एक अलग ऑब्जेक्ट और इसके लिए एक और ऑब्जेक्ट. हर ऑब्जेक्ट पे आपके बिफोर ईच कॉल होंगे इस टेस्ट एग्जीक्यूट होने के पहले और इस टेस्ट को एग्जीक्यूट होने के बाद आफ्टर ईच। हियर आल्सो सेम थिंग विल हैपन, बट बिफोर ऑल इन सारे ऑब्जेक्ट के पहले, मतलब ये क्लास लेवल का मेथड है। दिस इज आल्सो अ क्लास लेवल मेथड and this is your object level method before each test method. Since it is a class level method, that's why this method should be what? Should be static method. This method should be what? जो method आप यहाँ पे लिखोगे, that should be static. This one also should be static because it will execute on a class level and these will execute on a object level. Here is the example, you will get the clarity. So here, see that this example, I'm going to just replace this message. What is here? Now listen carefully. So this is our calculator test class. Initially, what I did, I just took that calculator instance variable. और इसे हम initialize कहाँ पे कर रहे हैं? See here, I'm initializing this object where before each. Before each, I just use the arrange section. So in all the method, I have written one statement executing before each method. And in this one, हर बार हर टेस्ट केस के लिए एक नया ऑब्जेक्ट बनेगा हमारा and that will be executed. And after each, this object will be eligible for garbage collector. मतलब अगर इस क्लास में टोटल कितने टेस्ट मेथड है? This is the first test method, which is 4 divided by 2, and here you are getting the result. Another one division by 0. और इस मेथड में आप देखो यहाँ पे हमने assert कुछ भी नहीं किया, just call the fail method. Fail method not implemented yet. ये by default fail हो जाएगा. This method will be failed. Okay, because I have not implemented anything, so I just mentioning here fail. So इसमें हमने कुछ logic check नहीं किया, directly हम इसे fail ही कर दिया हमने. Division by 0. Okay, so I have two test method, right? So two test method, that means 2 times the object will be created. हर बार जब object बनेगा, that means 2 times this calculator class object will be created. So calculator is the instance variable here, and before each object will be created. After each test case complete हो गया, ये object garbage collector will is be eligible for garbage collector. Okay, now after all, before all, there is only one statement. And remember, this is a static method. After all, static method executing after all method. So just to know the flow, कि ये before each, after each, before all, after all, execute कब कब होता है. Let's run this test case and see the output. Now, first of all, let me show you here. Test divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is passed, but division by 0, initially हमने इसे fail ही कर दिया है, so it is failed. But in the console, you look at that. Here it is. Executing before all and executing after all. सबसे पहले before all and सबसे बाद में after all. और हर test case के लिए before each, your test case conducted, after each. Before each, your test case conducted, and after each. Make sense? Please confirm. Just like that, your post construct and pre destroy method. हमने यहाँ पे आप रिसोर्स जो आप प्रोक्योर किया है वो क्या है? ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया है और ऑब्जेक्ट को नल कर रखा है, लेकिन हम बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर. वी विल सी दैट विद एग्जांपल. सम डिसेबल एनोटेशन इज आल्सो देयर. डिसेबल एनोटेशन का मतलब कि अगर ये फेल हो रहा है तो हम इसे क्या करें? हम चाहे तो इसे कमेंट आउट कर सकते हैं इस, या फिर ये जैसे ये मेथड है हमारा इम्प्लीमेंटेड नहीं है या फेल हो रहा है, राइट, एंड वी आर नॉट एबल टू फिगर आउट कि ये टेस्ट केस हमारा फेल क्यों हो रहा है. तो पहला तो तरीका ये है कि आप यहाँ से ये एनोटेशन ही हटा दें, राइट. तो ये टेस्ट केस मेथड कंसीडर होगा नहीं और ये आपका काम नहीं करेगा. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम क्या होगी कि आपके टेस्ट रिपोर्ट में भी ये मैसेज का कहीं जिक्र नहीं होगा. There will be nothing will be there for this test report also. Let me run this one and show you. So you won't see that any kind of test report. So here test case passed. There will be nothing related to this particular method. So instead of doing this, we have a annotation called what? Disable. With this, what will happen? Let's run this one once again. And this time you will notice test case is passed, but here this is division by 0. This message is also mentioned there, and it is crossed. That means it is not implemented properly. Am I clear? So that's what here to do. You still need to work on this. This is the disabled. You can specify the message as well, and display name division by 0. It is failed. So you can mention there. Okay, exception को हम assert कैसे करते हैं? To assert the exception. So basically, I want to divide by 0. So by the way, after 5:30, do you have any other work like that? Any other session or any other activity? No. So this session will go till 6 p.m. Is it okay? Okay, good. Because I don't want to skip anything, and I don't want to do fast forwarding. So just I'm going to explain it as much as possible, so you'll get the much more clarity. So here, since see that this method is when divided by 0 should throw the arithmetic exception. तो इस exception को टेस्ट करने का क्या तरीका है? So here is the arrange section, dividend for divisor 0 and expected exception message. तो जब हम किसी नंबर को 0 से डिवाइड करते हैं ना, तो ये मैसेज प्रिंट होता है कंसोल पे. So this message is the expected exception message. Okay. जब arithmetic exception आता है, तो this is message the only you are going to get. अब इसे हम टेस्ट कैसे करें? So these are the arrange section, the data, whatever is there. Now here to check out that, to do that, what exception message related testing, you need to use this way: assert throw. Assert throw, you need to pass the which type of exception you are expecting. I'm expecting arithmetic exception, and in the lambda expression you need to write the code. So you need to just write the code, take a lambda expression and do the act section. That is calculator.divide divided by divisor. And now it will show that if the exception will be thrown properly, then this agar ye exception throw nahi ho raha hai, then you won't get this type of message. And what is that? That means you are going to get this type of message, your exception will be failed. और यहाँ पे हम एक और assert लगा रहे हैं. This is the assert throw to check the exception is thrown or not. और दूसरा assert आप यहाँ देखो, assert equal. ये हम क्या कर रहे हैं? चेक कर रहे हैं कि exception message वही बराबर आ रहा है. For example, I am throwing student exception, customer exception. वहाँ पे जो message हम तरह तरह के भेजते हैं. Student not found, student list is empty, problem in student creation. So those message also we can test. तो पहले तो हम ये टेस्ट कर सकते हैं कि ये एक्सेप्शन थ्रो करना चाहिए अगर डिविजर 0 है तो. अगर नहीं थ्रो कर रहा है मतलब हमारा टेस्ट केस फेल हो गया. थ्रो करेगा अगर डिविजर 0 है, दैट मींस टेस्ट केस पास. टेस्ट केस पास हो गया, देन this assert throws method will return that which type of exception it has thrown that object. उस ऑब्जेक्ट को हमने ये actual exception और हम यहाँ पे assert equal से expected exception message and comparing with actual exception message. So let me copy this code and paste this method in our application. So it is in the arrange section, and here is the act section. So how did I just tested the exception message? Assert throws, कौन सा exception हम expect कर रहे हैं? Arithmetic exception. And second parameter will be the lambda expression. In the lambda expression, we need to do our act operation. Calculator dot divided by divisor, and this is your message, right? So here I am dividing 4 by 0, right? So 4 by 0, yes, it should throw the arithmetic exception. This is the message we should get there. Both assert will, both test cases, that means both asserts should pass. This is a single test case method. Let's run this, check out that. So here you can notice we have the single test case method, division by 0 pass. लेकिन इसी टेस्ट में हमारे पास दो कंडीशन है. पहला क्या, ये मैसेज को भी हम टेस्ट कर रहे हैं और एक्सेप्शन भी हम टेस्ट कर रहे हैं. अब अगर हम डिवीजन को हमने कर दिया क्या यहाँ पे, लेट्स से दैट 2, तो अब ये हम एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं assert throws. अगर ये वैल्यू को हम 2 से डिवाइड करें तो इट शुड थ्रो एन एक्सेप्शन. क्या ये एक्सेप्शन थ्रो करेगा? नहीं, एक्सेप्शन थ्रो नहीं करेगा, राइट? So let's test this method, and this time the test case will fail. So here division by 0, and see that division by 0 should have thrown the arithmetic exception. So the exception throw karna chahiye, right? But it is not throwing. In fact, this message is also not thrown. Expected message to be thrown, but nothing was thrown, right? So you can test this way as well. Let me just use that here 0. This time I'm changing this message. Message हमने लिख दिया यहाँ पे, let's say that ABCD. Like this. So this time this assert message will be not going to get matched. So this test case also will fail. So here it is, and here unexpected exception message, expected ABCD, but it was divided by 0. So by this way you can test the exception throw कर रहा है या नहीं, और उसका मैसेज हमारे एक्सपेक्टेड मैसेज के बराबर है. Am I clear? Please confirm. Hello? Anyone having any doubt till this point? Please confirm. Cool. Now the next important thing, and it is very interesting one, parameterized test. अब तक आप जो भी टेस्ट मेथड देख रहे हो, चाहे वो हमारा टेस्ट डिवाइड when division by 0, there is no any parameter. Return type is also void. Here also whatever the test cases I have written, इसके ऊपर टेस्ट लगा हुआ है, there is no any parameter. Here also our main business logic may have the parameter, लेकिन ये जो टेस्ट मेथड हम लिख रहे हैं, it does not have any parameter. So we can do that parameterized test. Parameterized test, testing the same method with different input value. This is super interesting one. Parameterized test make it possible to run our tests multiple times with a different argument. And they are declared just like a regular test method, but we have to use a parameterized test annotation. तो उसको हम नॉर्मल टेस्ट एनोटेशन की जगह पे हमें यूज करना है पैरामीटराइज्ड टेस्ट, और हम डिफरेंट वैल्यू के साथ टेस्ट करेंगे. मतलब इस टेस्ट केस को हम एक बार में या 5-6 टेस्ट केस लिखने की बजाय अलग अलग वैल्यू हम क्या कर सकते हैं, अलग अलग सेट ऑफ वैल्यू पास कर सकते हैं. कि पहली बार ये रन हो 2 और 4 के साथ, दूसरी बार रन हो -3 और 4 के साथ, तीसरी बार रन हो 0 के साथ, और हर बार इट इज मच मोर इंपॉर्टेंट एंड feasible as well. So different input set of value we can pass. So this is our calculator class. Let's have normal unit test method for the above integer add. So this is the integer add method, right? So let me do that here in the main class. I'm keeping this method also. Integer add method, taking two number and returning the addition of both numbers. So just like this method, this is also another method, another unit of code. और हम अब इसके हम test cases लिखेंगे. So using the parameterized test, this is the normal method I have used that normal way without parameterized test. So I have used the test annotation. Test integer add, when adding two positive number, then return the addition result, right? So number 1 10, number 2 2, and expected 12. This is an arrange section. X section, we need to call this object calculator dot integer add. Don't forget to create the object. Here I just forget the part to create the object calculator. Either you can create that in a before each and after each method also. So let me in fact do that one. So instead of creating the calculator class object here, what we can do, I can take this here, calculator, one instance variable, and there's a method public var init. Right, and you can say calculator is equal to new calculator. And here we need to apply at the rate before each. Similarly, public void destroy and calculator is equal to null. This should be after each, like this. And now we can easily use this calculator object over here in our method. So let me remove this one and copy this. Just method. This is the manual normal way I am testing here. Expected number and number one, number two, and integer add calculator dot. Yes, what is that? Integer add. So this method is not showing. Okay, I have put that in a different class. That's why. Sharthak is asking these annotations are like post construct and pre destroy, but we use this in JUnit only. Yes, exactly, Sharthak. ये उसी तरह का मेथड है, आप रिसोर्स पे यूज कर सकते हो. Now there will be no problem. Integer add, which is working as it is. So ये हमारा नॉर्मल तरीका है. ये नॉर्मल मेथड को हम इसे टेस्ट कर सकते हैं. Let me run this program. Unit test, and this method should be executed. Test case will be passed. That's cool. So expected आने चाहिए 12 और यहाँ पे हमारा वैल्यू है actual expected with actual. The value is working properly. Okay. Now the above method will run only one time with a single pair of values using num1 and num2 defined as a local variable inside the test method. तो ये जो मेथड है ये एक ही बार रन हो रहा है और ये लोकल वेरिएबल जो हमने डिफाइन किया है उसके अकॉर्डिंग, राइट. बट इन ऑर्डर टू एग्जीक्यूट दिस मेथड विद डिफरेंट सेट ऑफ वेरिएबल्स वी कैन यूज अ पैरामीटराइज्ड टेस्ट. तो उस केस में हमें क्या करना होगा, मेथड की जगह पे हमें लिखना है पैरामीटराइज्ड टेस्ट, राइट. सो लेट मी फर्स्ट कॉपी दिस मेथड and then after I will explain about this. So instead of this method, I need to paste this in. Okay, now listen carefully. First of all, display name, you know that about this one. So test integrated with num1, num2 and expected, right? This value will be automatically injected. Now, display name, if you put that in a bracket, this value will be automatically injected, right? Parameterized test. Instead of test, you need to use parameterized test. अब अगला जो annotation है here method source. So you need to specify different source like method source, CSV source, different type of source की हम parameter कहाँ से लेने वाले. हमने कहा है कि हम एक method से parameter लेंगे. Method का नाम क्या होगा? Integer add input parameters. आपका method का जिससे टेस्ट कर रहे हो integer add उसके input parameters. So here in the same class you need to define a static method. Integer add input parameters, and it should return, it should be the static method and it should return streams of argument. Streams of argument, this arguments is an object of your what? Jupyter, right? And stream, you know, that is the java.util stream. So streams of argument should be the return type, and how we return this object is streams of argument of 10 to 12, 5 to 17, 5, 5, 10. So this 10 is the first number, 2 second number, and 12 expected. 15 first, second, and expected. Number 1, number 2 expected. So these argument, 3 argument I am going to pass. Where? In this method. And in this method, it is taking 3 parameters. See here. Number 1, number 2, expected result. So this 3 value it will take. That value is what is there in your act section. And I have just written this one to just put a log message. Now calculated dot add integer number one, number two जो parameter से pass होंगे and asserting this value. So simple, that is each parameter it will take from this method. And now if I run this program, see that. So this time this method got executed 3 times and 3 बार मतलब 3 object बने होंगे इसके and you will notice this method executed 3 times with all these possible parameters. Am I clear? Please confirm. This is the first one, that is method source. ये method से हम parameter ले रहे हैं. उसी तरह हमारे पास अलग अलग options हैं, जैसे passing the multiple parameter using CSV source. CSV मतलब comma separated value. Comma separated value, in that case you need to use CSV source annotation. And here you need to pass in a object, you will pass this comma separated value. So the first value is the comma separated 10, first number, 2 second number, 12 expected. So whatever the value you are passing, these are the different set of value, and same method will be there. Same method will be executed with this set of values. यहाँ पे हमें extra method लिखने की जरूरत नहीं, because it is a CSV source. Previous one, what is it was method source. That's why we need to write a different method, right? And here it is a CSV source. So automatically this value you can pass as a comma separated value. All the parameters, how much parameter you want to take to conduct your test case. Similarly, आपके पास एक और है CSV source से आप string value भी pass कर सकते हो. जैसे like that here, first value is apple, second is a mango. First is apple, second is a here empty string like this. First value is apple, second value में कुछ भी नहीं दिया. That means it will be null. So if you to pass the string, if you let's say that your method is taking the string, you can pass the string like this. Now, if you have to define very big, large set of value, तीन चार नहीं बहुत ज़्यादा value, so instead of defining it here, you can take it from CSV file, separate CSV file you can take. .csv. I hope everyone is aware with the CSV file. So in that case, you need to use CSV file source annotation. तो आपको एक फाइल बनाना है. नॉर्मल अगर प्रोजेक्ट है आपका जावा प्रोजेक्ट, तो कहाँ पे बनाओगे आप? सो हियर. सो यू नीड टू क्रिएट दैट. Instead of providing a long list of values CSV source, you can supply the input value from the CSV file. So in a test folder in Maven and Gradle project, where create this file in a src test result. तो अगर आपको CSV file बनाना है, let's say that I am creating this particular file. So you need to create in your normal project. Let's say that I have both one, normal and Maven. Normal में आपको test file के अंदर बनाना है ये file, new file and integer add values dot CSV. Any name you can give. So this value you can pass it over there. I can open through this open with text editor, and you can paste this value here. Like this. Save this one. So this is your CSV file. ये normal project में हम test folder के अंदर बनाते हैं, not inside the package, inside the test folder. और अगर आपका Maven project है तो ये file कहाँ बनाओगे आप? Here, test resources. Inside this test resources, right click, new file, and that particular file name, that is integer test CSV. Close that in default mode. It is opening this Excel sheet, so you can open that with text editor, and you can paste this value like this. और आपको क्या करना है आपके प्रोजेक्ट में इस CSV फाइल का लोकेशन दे देना है. That means you need to define here, instead of doing this, instead of doing that method source, you need to specify this one, that is CSV file source. That is CSV file source, and specify your file name, that is resources slash that value. That means file name, and that's it. अब ये आपके सारे वैल्यू इस फाइल से, हमारे CSV फाइल से वैल्यू रीड होंगे, and the test case will work. Here, all the test cases passed with the different set of values. Like this. So these are the different values. Using that, you can use this parameterized test. The last one is the value source. तो यहाँ पे अगर आपका पैरामीटर एक ही वैल्यू ले रहा है, in that case you can use value source. So like that here you can use value source strings, apple, mango, orange, क्योंकि हम एक ही वैल्यू पास करते हैं, fruit name. So in that case you can pass different set of values. One value each time it will take, and it will print that value. Similarly, you can take the ints also if you're taking the integer value ints and pass that comma separated integer as well. So using this parameterized test, same test method you can run against the different set of values. Am I clear till this point? Please confirm. Hello? Please respond. Hello? Am I audible? Cool. Some person is asking here. Sir, I'm very much confused. Let's say that we are creating a method of adding two numbers named add AB. And in the test cases, you are saying if 4 plus 9 is equal to 3. What if we provide 2 plus 7 and it will not be 13? Let me just copy your question. Prem Kumar is having some doubt. Like this. So he's asking, let's say we are creating a method for adding two numbers, add A and B. So let's say that int add and int A, int B. Okay, and it is returning A plus B. Cool. This is the main method, create test. And in this case, you are saying if 4 plus 9 is 30, right? 4 plus 9. This is number 1, 4, number 2, 9. And it is what? 30. Expected 30. Yes, it will be passed. What if user provide 2 plus 7? That means user is providing 2 plus 7, right? And it will not be 13. Of course, not. It will be the expected value will come how much? That means 9. Okay. And it's right also, but in this case, just fail. I'm not getting it. Listen. अगर आपने 13 एक्सपेक्टेड वैल्यू दे रखा है तो टेस्ट केस पास होगा. अगर आपने वैल्यू आपने 9 दे रखा है तो ये भी टेस्ट केस पास होगा, right? But the third parameter is in your what? We can pass the third parameter like expected value. Yes, Sarthak, you are correct. It's a very simple. Let's say that using this CSV file itself. ठीक है ना? हमने यहाँ पे Deepak is saying there is an intervention call on 5:30. May I leave? Yes, Deepak, those they have any other commitment, they can, but I recommend those they don't have any work, please be there. Or जो leave कर रहे हैं, be sure that this recording session, you can take it and you can watch it little later. Because next half an hour, I'm going to talk about the Mockito, how to do the mock of your declared object. That is the very important. Okay, so those they don't have any extra commitment or extra work, please be there. Those they have any extra work, they can leave, but please be sure that to watch this recording session. It is a very important for you. Okay, so if you notice here, Prem, so यहाँ पे ये सारे वैल्यू जो हम पास किए हैं, 10 फर्स्ट नंबर 2 12 पास हो जा रहा है, 5 and 2 17 ये भी ठीक है, 5 plus 5 10 ये भी सही है. लेकिन क्या हो अगर हम यहाँ पे कुछ गलत वैल्यू दे दें? Let's say that I am using this here, open with text editor, and let's say that this value, let's say that your value I am passing. So you have told that 2 and 7 9. So first value 2, 7. And the expected value it is taking what? None. Right? Let's save this and see here what's going to happen. So in this case, let me show you 2 7 9. Yeah, actually 2 7 9 is going to pass here because the expected value it will going to pass because 2 7 तो 9 ही होने चाहिए ना. So it will pass. तो ये क्या होगा ना, हर सेट ऑफ वैल्यू के लिए एक बार ये टेस्ट केस आपका रन होगा. पहले बार के लिए ये टेस्ट केस रन करेगा, दूसरी बार के लिए ये टेस्ट रन करेगा, तीसरी बार के लिए ये टेस्ट केस रन करेगा. ये फेल कब होगा? अगर हमने कुछ गलत वैल्यू यहाँ पे दे दिया. Let me just open with once again text editor and 2 plus 7 suppose that expected value is a different value, like 11. So then this set of value is not going to work, right? This set of value will not going to work. अगर ये sample value है सिर्फ कि अगर हम ये value दें तो हमें क्या output आएगा. Here it is a very much predictable कि आप यहाँ क्या value दोगे. सर हम यहाँ पे 11 देंगे ही क्यों, यहाँ पे हम 9 ही देंगे ना. ठीक है, यहाँ पे तो हमें समझ में आ रहा है. लेकिन वहां पे क्या होगा कि जब हम कोई वैल्यू हम यूजर से ले रहे हैं, और वहां पे हम सोच रहे हैं कि ये वैल्यू आनी चाहिए. If I am passing value number 1, it should return mango. If I am passing number 2, it should return what? Orange. So the first parameter is number 1. Second parameter is then your expected value should be what? Orange. Second parameter is 2, then it should be the what? Mango. In that case, we can give the unpredictable value. अगर match कर गया आपका method से, so that will be passed. If not matched, then it will be failed. Am I clear? Please confirm. Good. Here in this case, it's very much predictable. But वहां पे सोचो आप कि जहां पे हम 2 पैरामीटर पास कर रहे हैं और वो मेथड हमारा कैलकुलेट करके कुछ और चीजें दे रहा है. 2 नंबर पास कर रहे हैं और वो हमारा नंबर ऐड करके, और वो नंबर अगर फर्स्ट डिवीजन है तो हमें यहाँ पे बोनस मिल रहा है. तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अ बोनस, लेकिन वो बोनस नहीं दे रहा है. आवर मेथड इज नॉट वर्किंग प्रॉपरली. इट इज थ्रोइंग एन एक्सेप्शन, देन आवर टेस्ट केस विल फेल. Like this it will work. Similarly, we have the repeated test. You can go with this repeated test as well. एक ही method कई बार test होगा. Repeated test pass this 3, so 3 times this test case will run, and with the same value it will work. So ये हमें confirm करता है कि क्या ये हर बार हम run करें तो हमें same value, हमें still हमारा test case pass हो. ठीक है. Next one, the method order. ऑर्डर का मतलब ये है कि ऑल्दो यूनिट टेस्ट मेथड शुड नॉट रिले ऑन द ऑर्डर, ये किसी भी ऑर्डर में रन हो सकता है, लेकिन कभी कभी रिक्वायरमेंट होती है कि हमारे टेस्ट केस ऑर्डरली पे हम फोर्स करें इनको कि ऑर्डर पे ही रन, क्योंकि एक टेस्ट केस दूसरे टेस्ट केस पर डिपेंडेंट है. ऐसा चूंकि होना नहीं चाहिए ड्यू टू आवर द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल, लेकिन कभी कभी इफ यू हैव द रिक्वायरमेंट यू कैन इन्फोर्स दैट यू शुड हैव द ऑर्डर्ड मेथड. इन दैट केस you can use this method order. So first is a random order. So you can specify just like that. You need to use this test class with test method order random dot class. This annotation you need to use on the top of your class. Then I have the 4 test method: test A, test B, test C, test D, and I have written just simple SOP statement. If I run them, then we can't predict the output. It is in random in nature. कौन सा test case कैसे run होगा? And this is a default one. Random dot class is a default one. If you don't mention this one also, your test case will run in the random order. Order by order index. So similarly, you can run this one by order index. So here you need to use test method order annotation dot class. तो ये order annotation ये आपका क्या use करेगा? Indexes. So in addition to this one, you need to annotate order also on each method. कि आप किस order में कौन से method को use करना चाहते हो. So I am saying that first test C should be executed. Second, test D should be executed. Third order should be test B, and fourth order should be test A. So in that case, you need to use order annotation dot class. You should try this one if you want. So using that, you can change the order of your method as well. Am I clear? Please confirm. Hello? Cool. नेक्स्ट वन, चेंजिंग टेस्ट लाइफ साइकिल. इसमें क्या है कि हम जैसे अभी हमने बात की थी कि हर टेस्ट के लिए एक अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट बनना, लेकिन हम इस बिहेवियर को मॉडिफाई कर सकते हैं. सो बाय यूजिंग दैट व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन टेल दैट टेस्ट इंस्टेंस लाइफ साइकिल पर क्लास. इसका मतलब क्या होगा कि हम चाहते हैं क्या कि हर टेस्ट के लिए अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट ना बने, एक ही ऑब्जेक्ट बने और सारे टेस्ट केस उसी ऑब्जेक्ट पे रन. In that case, you need to use per class. There's other one, per method also, which is default one. Per method is the default one, and per class is a normal one. So here that is per class. So you can use, there are 2 options. This is an enum. You can use per class or per method. Per method क्या है? Default one है. जैसे कि आप ये annotation आप use कर लो यहाँ से. Let's say that copy this. And we can utilize this now. Let me import this. So test life cycle, and there is a one per method, which is the default one. You need not mention कि हर method के लिए test class अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया, जो कि इसका डिफॉल्ट नेचर है, हमने देख रखा है। लेकिन आप इस नेचर को बदलना चाहते हो, हम चाहते हैं कि एक ही ऑब्जेक्ट बने, सारे टेस्ट केस उसी पे रन हो, then in that case you can use per class. So in that case, what will happen? All the test cases will run based on a single object. So here is one very nice example. You can just see that. So here I just took that string buffer as initial stage and I assigned with the empty string. And since it is a per class, मतलब एक ही ऑब्जेक्ट बनेगा आपके टेस्ट क्लास का, चाहे वो कितने भी टेस्ट मेथड। और हमने क्या किया है, यहाँ पे एक एनोटेशन लगाया आफ्टर ईच और आफ्टर ऑल, वट एवर यू कैन टेक दैट। पहले हमने लिया है आफ्टर ईच में मतलब हर टेस्ट मेथड के बाद ये मेथड एग्जीक्यूट। और हमने यहाँ पे लिखा है क्या, यहाँ पे द टेस्ट मेथड इंस्टेंस ऑफ बफर डॉट टू स्ट्रिंग, जो भी टेस्ट बफर का जो वैल्यू है वो वैल्यू हमारा प्रिंट हो जाएगा। नाउ लेट्स सी दैट आई एम जस्ट यूजिंग order I have also used, and test method A, test method B, test method C, test method D, right? So in that case, what I did, I just use here what system.out.println and buffer.append 4, buffer.append 3, buffer.append 1. तो जो भी हमारा इंडेक्स है हम उसे ऐड करते चले जा रहे हैं। Let me just try to copy this and execute this, see the output in the both scenario. Method order test. Cool. Now, since it is a per class, so let's run this one, see the output. And it is showing what here test cases will be passed because हमने कुछ fail नहीं किया है, कुछ भी expected हमारा output नहीं है. I just use the SOP statement, but the important thing is SOP statement. Here, if you notice inside test C, test B, test B, test A. So first 1, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. The value is got appended. क्योंकि हमने यहाँ पे कर क्या रखा है, if you notice, I just appended the value. Append 1. तो पहले हमारा ऑर्डर 1 एग्जीक्यूट होगा तो स्ट्रिंग बफर में ऐड हो जाएगा 1, राइट? और चूंकि एक ही क्लास में इंस्टेंस रन हो रहा है, मतलब वो स्टेट हमारा मेंटेन होता चला जाएगा, दिस स्टेट विल बी मेंटेन। नाउ ऑर्डर 2, सो दिस वैल्यू विल बी अपेंडेड, then order 3, this value will be appended, and appended 4, so that you are getting the output like this. At the last state you are getting that 1, 2, 3, 4. लेकिन वही क्या हो अगर हम इसे कर दें हम पर मेथड, जो कि डिफॉल्ट 1 है, या फिर इसे हम हटा दें। अब क्या होगा इसका आउटपुट, लेट्स सी दैट। This time you are going to get that output like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, क्योंकि हर बार वो स्ट्रिंग बफर हमारा नया स्टेट हो जाएगा, नया स्टेट होगा, उसमें हर बार सिर्फ एक ही वैल्यू अपेंड होगी, वो स्टेट हमारा कैरी फॉरवर्ड नहीं होगा। Am I clear? Please confirm. Good. So this is the difference between what, on a single object you want to run all the test cases, or on for each test case you want to use the different object. ये हम यूज कहाँ कर रहे थे practically when we are trying to create a Java judger to evaluate that test cases. वहां पे हम क्या कर रहे थे, इनिशियल मार्क्स हम दे रहे थे और हर टेस्ट केस में हमने मार्क्स ऐड कर दिया था कि आपका ये टेस्ट केस पास होगा तो आपको 2 नंबर मिलेंगे, यहाँ पे आपको 0.25 मिलेगा, यहाँ पे आपको 3 नंबर मिलेंगे, और इट विल बी द टेस्ट पर क्लास। आई जस्ट यूज दैट। सो उससे क्या हो रहा था कि सारे आपके टेस्ट केस रन हो गए और आपके फाइनल मार्क्स कैलकुलेट होके हमारे यहाँ पे प्रिंट हो जाएंगे। What will be the final marks you are getting? I hope you got the point. Please confirm. Cool. So there is one example. I recommend to just go through this example. You will get the clarity of how these test cases are working properly. So I just use here one V problem, that is one user repository which is having some method like init close, and then after save method which will take the user ID और user के details को map में हम ले रहे हैं, मतलब key value, कि कुछ भी हो सकता है, value कुछ भी हो सकता है, first name, then after the value, last name, then value, mobile number, then value, email, then value, how much value you want to put, उस यूजर डिटेल के आप पुट कर सकते हो. So that will be the same update, find and delete. Simple CRUD operation is there using repository. This is an interface. और इस interface का एक implementation हमने ले रखा है using normal map. So in init method, this user is initialized with the hash map. Close method, it is null. So it is what I just override this method. These are the normal business logic, and I have overridden these all methods. Then I have created one user service class. There is a create user, update user, get user details, delete user. These are the interfaces. These interface have the implementation, and the dependency is what? User repository is a dependency. And I have injected, since it is not a Spring project, तो हम इसे auto wire नहीं कर सकते हैं. So I just use the constructor injection manually. जब हम user service IMPL का object बनाएंगे, तो हम user repository का object pass कर देंगे. And here this user repository, based on that user repository, I have implemented this create user, जो कि internally same method को call कर रहा है. Update user, which is internally using your update method of repository. Get user, which is using find method of your repository. Similarly, delete method is working. And here is the test cases for your user service IMPL test. And here, this time I have used what? How this method will gonna work, the ordered annotation. ऑर्डर एनोटेशन की क्या है कि हमारे सारे टेस्ट केसेस एक दूसरे पे डिपेंडेंट है. तो हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया है, क्रिएटेड यूजर टेस्ट आईडी हमने यहाँ पे निकाल रखा है, दैट इज एम्प्टी स्ट्रिंग. सेटअप में बिफोर ऑल क्या क्या चीजें हो, यूजर रिपोजिटरी में ऑब्जेक्ट चली जाए, इसके इनिट मेथड कॉल हो जाए, सर्विस विल गेट द ऑब्जेक्ट, पासिंग दैट सर्विस IMPL ऑब्जेक्ट एज वेल. मतलब हमारा सर्विस ऑब्जेक्ट और यूजर ऑब्जेक्ट, सर्विस एंड रिपोजिटरी बोथ ऑब्जेक्ट शुड बी रेडी. And service will get that all these instances also it will get there in this setup method. And after all, we need to close the connection, delete database, whatever you want to do. लेकिन हमने यहाँ पे क्या कर रखा है, repository.close, releasing the resources. Then after order one, यहाँ पे create user. We are just creating one user by passing first name, last name, and I'm calling create user. It is giving one ID, and I'm checking assert null. Not null, ID is not null, तब क्या होगा, हमारा टेस्ट केस पास हो जाएगा. लेकिन आप यहाँ देखो, ये कस्टमर आईडी हमने ऊपर इनिशियलाइज कर रखा है. क्यों? क्योंकि अब इसी कस्टमर आईडी से जब तक कस्टमर क्रिएट नहीं होगा तब तक हम उसे डिलीट नहीं कर सकते. जब तक कस्टमर हमारा क्रिएट नहीं होगा तब तक हम उसे अपडेट नहीं कर सकते, राइट? सो इन दैट केस आवर टेस्ट मेथड्स विल बी इन अ ऑर्डर. दे हैव टू फॉलो द ऑर्डर. In that case, we can utilize this order. कि किस order में पहला use हो. So इसलिए create user should be in the first order. Update user में वो object बनना चाहिए. That means the user should exist. That's why I created user ID. I just kept that here. I have assigned it. And based on that ID, I am checking that I am updating the user. कि कौन से user को हम update कर रहे हैं. Similarly, we are checking that our delete method also it is working or not. So this is a very nice demonstration to demonstrate that how our test case, even though we need to write in an individual manner, but sometime we need to write the test cases so that the test cases 2 will depend upon test case 1. In fact, test case 3 also depend on test case 1. I hope you got the point. Please confirm. So I recommend everyone to please execute this example in your system. There is another approach is there, TDD approach, test driven development. ये हमारा एक approach है और in industry lots of people use that. ये approach कहता है क्या कि पहले red, green, refactor, repeat. मतलब ये पहले कहता है ना कि test driven. आप पहले test case लिख लो. आप business logic बाद में लिखना, पहले test case लिख लो. आप कहोगे कि सर हमारा business logic लिखा ही नहीं, हम test case कैसे लिखें? तो वो कहेंगे कि आपका टेस्ट केस आप ऐसा लिखो, उसे रन करोगे, आपके पास बिजनेस लॉजिक नहीं है तो टेस्ट केस आपका फेल हो जाएगा, राइट? अब आप अपना बिजनेस लॉजिक लिखो, जैसे इंप्लीमेंट होता है यू नीड टू रन योर टेस्ट केस, चेक आउट दैट कि ये पास हो रहा है. तो इनिशियली वो रेडी रहेगा. अब आप बिजनेस लॉजिक लिखते रहो, उसे रन करते रहो टेस्ट केस को, कब तक? जब तक वो ग्रीन ना हो जाए. फिर जैसे ही ग्रीन हो गया देन यू नीड टू रिफैक्टर, फिर उसे रन करेंगे, हो सकता है रेड हो या फिर ग्रीन हो जाए. दिस इज कॉल्ड टेस्ट ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट. दैट मींस इनिशियली यू नीड टू राइट अ टेस्ट केस, अकॉर्डिंग टू द टेस्ट केस यू नीड टू राइट योर बिजनेस लॉजिक. तो पहले आपका टेस्ट केस फेल होता जाएगा, आप कोड इंप्लीमेंट करोगे, टेस्ट केस रन करोगे, कोड इंप्लीमेंट करोगे, टेस्ट केस रन करोगे, कब तक? जब तक वो ग्रीन ना हो जाए। ग्रीन हो जाने के बाद टेस्ट केस पास हो गया, लेकिन ये मतलब नहीं है कि हमारा बिजनेस लॉजिक इंप्लीमेंट हो चुका है पूरी तरह। यू नीड टू अगेन refactor, you need to optimize your code, and again you do the same step, repeat that one. And once you get the satisfactory result and your test case also giving green, that means your development is done, right? This is the one standard way to develop our application. This is called test driven development. Now the last part of our today's session is Mockito. Mockito का मतलब क्या होता है? We need to create the test doubles. जैसे होते हैं ना फिल्म में हमारे एक्टर डबल्स, उसी तरह रियल ऑब्जेक्ट को हम डबल ऑब्जेक्ट, ये कब यूज होता है हमने पहले ही बात कर रखे थे हम लोग। सो टेस्ट यूनिट टेस्ट शुड बी डन इन आइसोलेशन, वी नो दैट। हर टेस्ट केस अलग अलग फॉर्म में होने चाहिए, मतलब इन आइसोलेशन। इफ दे हैव एनी डिपेंडेंसी, we should not do that the testing for the dependency. Instead of that, what you can do, you can create some fake or mock object with some dummy behavior. तो Mockito क्या है? Mockito एक framework है। Mockito is an open source testing framework just like your JUnit. लेकिन Mockito का यूज हम JUnit के साथ ही करते हैं, दोनों अलग अलग फ्रेमवर्क है। Both are the different framework, but Mockito framework also used along with the JUnit framework. और इससे फायदा क्या है? Mockito framework basically helps you to create a test doubles, that means fake object and fake behavior. You can create that, इसे हम mock object कहते हैं, fake object, spy object और stub भी कहते हैं। For example, let's see that I have one requirement register student. Please try to understand here. Register student, ये student का object है, और इसे register करने के लिए हमारे पास एक student DAO class है। इसी DAO class के अंदर एक method है save, जहां पे हम पास करेंगे student का object, और ये हमारा save हो जाएगा and it will return the registered student object. Just one example, try to understand. तो basically register student method को test करना है कि ये student register हो रहा है नहीं, लेकिन उसके लिए ये हमारा MySQL का DAO object है, इसके अंदर एक save method है, right? तो हमें अब MySQL DAO मेथड भी टेस्ट करना पड़ेगा कि ये सेम मेथड भी काम कर रहा है। So this register student is our main business logic. This is not our main business logic. We are not going to concern about this one. अब हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We should not test this method. क्या हो अगर हमारा register method या फिर कुछ और भी कोड हो, यहाँ पे भी कोड हो और भी कुछ, right? Logging and some other activities also there. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम क्या होगी कि अगर रजिस्टर स्टूडेंट में है तब तो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर हमारे सेव मेथड में कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, ये भी एक मेथड है, if this method is having any problem, due to that this method is throwing any exception, is not working, so you will say that this method is also not working. So test case of your register student will also fail. So we are not bothered about this method is working properly or not. We are responsible only for these codes. Our code in this method is working properly or not. So what we will do that instead of calling real same method on this real object, we should pass the mock object of this one with a fake behavior कि अगर हम सेव करें तो क्या आउटपुट आना चाहिए, and उसके अकॉर्डिंग हम अपने कोड को हम टेस्ट कर सकते हैं. We can write our code. Let's see that in a practical in action. So first of all, in order to use the Mockito, you need to add the mockito.jar और Mockito की dependency आपको add करनी पड़ेगी in your project, in your Maven project or whatever you are using. Okay. After that, let's see one example. It's a very nice example. You will get the clarity. Please listen. I have a student DAO1 interface, right? Let me in fact create this project for you. So I'm going to use this JUnit Maven app, and inside this pom.xml, it will just take 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes more to wrap up the session. Just one example, you will get the idea of this Mockito. And one dependency I need to add in order to use the Mockito. It should be in the dependency section. Okay, so this dependency got added. Now I am creating some main class, one interface I am creating. This interface name is student DAO. और इसके अंदर हमने एक ही मेथड हम रखते हैं यहाँ पे. This is a very, very interesting example. Please, an important example as well. Just try to focus on this. It is having only one method, that is get student marks by roll number. You will pass the roll number, it will give you the student marks. और ये कहाँ से marks देगा आपको? You can use JDBC or whatever to implement this method. Okay. Now I should have one implementation object of this one. So create a class called student. This is the implementation of student DAO. And override this method. In this method, you need to, since this method can connect with the database, can fetch the details for the particular student with the roll number and get return its marks. लेकिन हम यहाँ पे एक dummy सा हम statement लिख देते हैं. That is, अगर roll number greater than 100 है, तो marks 500 return करो. और अगर roll number less than 100 है, मतलब अगर less than 100 है, तो 700 return करो. This dummy value. Like as I told you that with this method you can write the JDBC connection, get that your result student record from the database with this roll number, and then you can get the marks and return the marks. But I have written some dummy logic in this implementation. Okay, now the next one, student service class. That is what your main business logic. You can define the interface also, but directly I'm creating one class, student service. Let me create this. This is the student service class, and inside that its dependency is the student DAO, and this is my main business logic. Let me copy this and paste it over here. Now please focus here. Student service, this is its dependency, student DAO, क्योंकि ये इसके अंदर एक मेथड है get result. तो get result हमें रिजल्ट लेने के लिए स्टूडेंट का मार्क्स चाहिए. मार्क्स हमें कौन देगा? DAO के मेथड. तो यहाँ पे हम ऑटो वायर वगैरह यूज नहीं कर सकते. इट इज नॉट अ स्प्रिंग प्रोजेक्ट, सो इसकी डिपेंडेंसी को हम कंस्ट्रक्टर इंजेक्शन से रिजॉल्व करना है. सो हियर somebody will create the object. जब हम इसका ऑब्जेक्ट बनाएंगे तो कंस्ट्रक्टर इंजेक्शन से इसे इंजेक्ट कर देंगे, मतलब स्टूडेंट डाउ IMPL ऑब्जेक्ट पास कर देंगे, द ऑब्जेक्ट विल बी असाइन्ड. अब ये हमारा मेन बिजनेस लॉजिक है, गेट रिजल्ट, पास द रोल नंबर. This method will give you the result whether student is first division, second division or fail, right? अब ये रिजल्ट को एक्सेस करने के लिए इसे मार्क्स चाहिए. मार्क्स कहां से मिलेगा? गेट मार्क्स बाय रोल नंबर. सो इट विल पास दिस रोल नंबर ऑन स्टूडेंट डाउ. इट विल गेट दैट मार्क्स and checking that marks. If marks greater than 600 first division, marks is greater than 500, less than 600 in second division, otherwise fail. So this is the main business logic, but it is depending upon student DAO. अब आपको अगर यूनिट टेस्ट करना हो इस मेन बिजनेस लॉजिक का, तो क्या आप विदाउट इसके आइसोलेशन के आप कर सकते हो? कैन यू डू दैट विदाउट स्टूडेंट डाउ दिस मेथड टेस्टिंग? नो. In that case, what you need to do, since it is a unit testing, I'm responsible to test only these methods. I'm not responsible to test this method is इसके अंदर जो हमारे पास जो मेथड है वो काम कर रहा है. In that case, we can create a fake object here, and we can pass the dummy behavior, and we can test this method. So we can do that. Let's see here. So in that case, I'm creating the student service test. Inside this test, student service test, finish. And here is the logic. We have the two approaches. This is the first approach. ये पहला approach है. ध्यान से देखना कैसे हम कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. So this is the test method, test get result. Name, I have not followed the proper convention. You should use that proper convention. Arrange. So arrange में हम यहाँ पे real object का भी हम student DAO का real object बना सकते हैं. Like that, student DAO and DAO is equal to new student DAO IMPL. लेकिन हमें इसका object की हमें टेस्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? हमें क्या यूज करना है? इसका mock बनाना है. कैसे बनाएंगे? This is a class mockito, which is having a static method mock. and just pass the interface name student.dao.class. This is your interface. Automatically, Mockito framework will create a stub, one dummy object of this implementation. उस interface का एक dummy object आपको मिल जाएगा यहाँ पे, not the real DAO IMPL. It will give you the fake object here automatically just by calling this mock object. अब आपको क्या करना है? Mock object मिल गया, you need to specify the fake behavior. Object तो मिल गया, लेकिन ये behave कैसा करे? तो उसके लिए आपको यूज करना है when method, mockito.when. DAO.getStudent.marks इस ऑब्जेक्ट पे अगर हम ये मेथड कॉल करें और अगर रोल नंबर 20 पास करें तो ये वैल्यू हमें 500 दे दे, देन रिटर्न 500. Does it make sense? How I'm passing the dummy behavior? It is not a real one. I'm saying that कि अगर कोई बंदा इस मेथड की इस ऑब्जेक्ट के मेथड को कॉल करता है by passing roll number 20, then this method should return 500. ये ऐसा कर नहीं रहा है, हो सकता है 20 नंबर वाले रोल का दूसरा मार्क्स है, लेकिन हम यहाँ पे डमी बिहेवियर अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, राइट? So here's the fake object, here's the dummy behavior by using when and then return. Ab at section, I created the object and here I pass this DAO. This DAO means it is your mock object you are passing. You are not passing your real object. So you pass your mock object and now you are calling get result 20. तो 20 रिजल्ट आएगा तो रोल नंबर ये रिटर्न करेगा 500. 500 के अकॉर्डिंग आपका सर्विस मेथड कैसा बिहेव करना चाहिए? It should return the second division. Yes or no? You have written the logic like this. So it should return the second division. अगर ये ऐसा रिटर्न कर रहा है मतलब हमारा लॉजिक सही है कि अगर ये मेथड 500 रिटर्न कर रहा है तो हमारा सेकंड डिवीजन होना चाहिए. And if it is assert equal, it is working, then our object will working fine. Am I clear? Please confirm. Cool. So this is a way to create the mock object. This is a way to assign the fake behavior. Now there is another approach to do the same kind of stuff. इससे भी आसान तरीका है. यहाँ पे आप देखो, यहाँ पे कुछ चीजें लैग है, जैसे कि हम ऑब्जेक्ट बना रहे हैं सर्विस का, कंस्ट्रक्टर में उसकी डिपेंडेंसी को ऐड कर रहे हैं, जो कि हमें करना चाहिए था, राइट? बिकॉज यहाँ पे सर्विस के अंदर कंस्ट्रक्टर में इसकी डिपेंडेंसी ऐड की जा रही है. लेकिन इससे भी एक सिंपल तरीका है, दैट इज द सेकंड अप्रोच. So approach 2 is just what? Let me just copy this class. And use it here. This approach is very simple one. See here. First of all, you need to use, in order to use this approach, you need to use this annotation extended with Mockito extension.class. This annotation is mandatory in order to use this approach. Second approach. इसमें क्या होगा? You need to use one annotation mock and just specify your interface name. अपने आप ये हमारा annotation इसका implementation object हमें बोलेगा. You need not create that mock object mockito.mock like this. No need to create. Just apply this annotation, and here is your interface, and your dummy object will be automatically mocked here. It will be injected. Now there is another annotation, inject mock. स्टूडेंट सर्विस एंड पास दिस. इस क्लास के रिपोजिटरी के अंदर, इस क्लास के आप कंस्ट्रक्टर के अंदर देखो तो यहाँ पे हम पास कर रहे हैं मैन्युअली अपने डाओ ऑब्जेक्ट को. बट इफ यू आर यूजिंग इंजेक्ट मॉक, then automatically the constructor will be called and the mock object will be injected here. So it will automatically call the constructor of the student service and pass the mock object. This is the job of injecting. Is it not so simple? You need not create the mock object manually. You need not call the constructor and pass the DAO object. Directly you can use the inject mock. Remember, this inject mock always use with the class, not with the interface. आप यहाँ पे interface use मत करना. It has to be used by, let's say that आपका student service interface है और इसका implementation class student service IMPL है. So you need to use the student service IMPL like this. Got it? So this object will be created and inject value, that is mock object will be injected here. Now you have to specify the fake behavior. So here in the arrange section, you need to just specify the fake behavior कि हम DAO में अगर student marks call करते हैं 20 roll number pass करके, then it should return 800. और अगर 800 return result करे, तो that means the second division or first division, you need to test your main business logic. So both approach, but in order to use this annotation, you need to annotate this annotation with the class level. And this is the use of mocking. How you can create a mock object, how you can inject your mock in your constructor on your dependency, and how you can specify the fake behavior. And then you can conduct your test case. Am I clear? Please confirm. Hello? Cool. And based on that, here's some mock behavior you can specify for this method as well. And the last one here, one example. This example you should try yourself. This example is a very nice example. I recommend everyone to just execute this example. You will get the enough clarity how this thing is working. Even all those annotations and everything is mentioned properly when we are using this test case. कि कब हम क्या use कर रहे हैं. At least just try to execute this one. You will get that. That means how we created this object. These things you know already, how to inject mock object. So I have just created the two mock object, and those mock object I'm injecting in this one. And based on that one, I have written so many test cases. So please execute this one. Try to read this commented out statement. You will get the much more clarity how this is working properly. And you will be able to know that how to do the mock object. That's it for this session. I know that this is a very, very long session, but I don't have any other option right now because this is the things. Still, I want to execute these examples and go some more details about that. But due to this first time, we have included this in our curriculum, which was not there in our previously. We just used to take a master class for only 1 hour, and within the 1 hour, I need to explain all these things. So it is better than that one, and hopefully it will be very, very easy. Everything, and in the notes, everything I have written this notes personally, one by one statement, which will be much more self-descriptive and very, very easily understandable. You have to apply your common sense. That's it for today's session, and thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your participation in the session. We had a very interesting and very nice journey, and definitely this is not end of our journey, and we are going to meet once again in our revision batch and in our placement batch. And I will be there along with you until you are not placed in a good company. So whenever you will, that means in a further session also, we will be there. I will be there to assist you in your placement batch also. Thanks once again, and all the best for your upcoming constructive. Thank you. Zakir, can you stop the recording?
Yes, sir.